Mother. Man.
Aw shit, Punky Brooks ready for the killer cage match. Murder Mayhem, 3 years, y'all.
Spreading faster than a case of the clap in a trailer court. Able to shatter eardrums within a 666-mile radius. A podcast more brutal than all the rest. It's Murder Metal Mayhem!
All right. What the hell is going on, gentlemen?
What the fuck's going on, motherfuckers? 3 years. What up?
Hell yeah, man. It is Tuesday. We're doing that thing we do here at Hornseye Studios on the Hornseye Podcast Network. But we got, as you said correctly, Chris, our 3-year anniversary. So fucking crazy. Episode 134 going down tonight.
Fucking right, dude.
The very first one, Chris, April 18th, 2018. So unbelievable to think, 3 years now and closing in on 150 fucking episodes. So
hell yeah, dude. It's
Murder
been
Metal
fun.
Mayhem.
That's
So
crazy.
that's awesome. Now, Joey, Chris, you guys doing okay? It's weird when we take time off. It's like not having the podcast in here on Tuesday just always feels weird, but...
Yeah.
You're just coming back from a trip, Joey? Had a good time?
Yeah, I was out in Toledo hanging out with the 419 Crips.
Yeah, that was awesome.
But no, I had a good time out there. But I think the only reason why it doesn't feel so weird is because we had done 3 the week before.
That's true, I guess. I didn't think of that.
So it's like, okay, taking a break.
Yeah, that's true. Chris, what about you with the Shawback Nation? Do you guys survive without Joey then, apparently?
Yeah, it was all good. We had fun, hung out with the kids, grilled some food, whatnot. It was fucking fun as shit. Drank some beers, imagine that.
Yeah, really, imagine that. No, that's awesome, dude. Definitely always a good time at the Shawback Nation. And I was wondering how you guys were doing with Joey on the Ohio trip. So, all right, what shirts we wearing, Chris? That looks pretty badass from where I could see of it.
Oh yeah, I got a Morbid Angel hoodie
Morbid
on.
Angel hoodie. Is that a new one? I don't think I've ever seen
It's
that.
actually Michael's. I'm just wearing it.
Okay, that's all good. That's funny.
I got a Borning shirt with the fucking Grim Reaper on it underneath there. That's
Nice. And your Cubs hat.
And my Cubs
Baseball
hat.
season
Yep.
has started, so very cool. Joey, what about you over there?
I got the fucking libido airbag hoodie on. German fucking cyber grind, fucking original porno grind shit. Fucking one of my biggest influences for sure.
Pretty sweet.
That's awesome.
And I also have, I got a Cubs hat on. We'll flip it around. We'll flip it around for the audience that's not here. I do have the Cubs hat on, but moreover, I wore this one to represent that blue Crips for whenever we do the cage match when Punky Brooks comes out.
Oh, that's going to be awesome, man. This is going to be so much fun, man. I can't wait. I am wearing my Fright Rag shirt. You guys were commenting on this, a Creep Show
sick.
2 shirt. The TV series Creep Show, the artwork is just friggin' amazing on these.
Killer.
Fright Rags is just the absolute shit. So those guys are just really awesome. We did an interview way back when with Ben, the owner / founder of Fright Rags, a very cool guy. And we talked to him about all sorts of cool stuff. So you can go back and listen to that interview. I do not have the number, but it was about 18 months ago or so.
Yeah.
That's out there for you to check out. Last week, we took a week off and we played Brutal Rewind 6 on John Wayne Gacy. Definitely a good one. We talked about some of the unidentified victims, Chris. That's kind of cool.
Able to use new technology to find out who they were and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and that fucking detective was just fucking hardcore, man. Deadly Legacy was the series we talked about a lot.
Legacy.
Yeah, Legacy.
Legacy.
So the Brutal Rewind format is, of course, totally different. It's a much shorter podcast, about a half hour, but it's a worth to check out. We just passed 900 listens to that one, which is really good for a Brutal Rewind.
Yeah.
And it still amazes me that Brutal Rewind number 4 on Richard Crafts is still our number 2 most listened to episode. Unbelievable. Very, very cool. So makes no sense to me. I'm not sure what the deal is with the rewind on Richard Crafts, but hey, I mean, the guy threw his wife in a fucking wood chipper, Chris. I mean, that's pretty fucking brutal, if I must say.
It inspires people.
I guess. So whatever fucking makes you listen to episodes, we love it and thank you. Now, speaking of Gacy, I'm almost bummed that we did the Brutal Rewind when we did, because right after it, I watched that Peacock channel docuseries on him, Devil in Disguise, which is best I've ever seen of anything on Gacy. Incredibly comprehensive. Had, his sister was on there, multiple family friends, all the detectives, the guys in the friggin' crawl space pulling bodies out. I mean, as brutal as it gets, it went there, and all sorts of interesting side things I did not know about Gacy, including, and I'll just leave it there, some supposed bodies buried at the apartment building where his mom lived, because he was the maintenance man there, and somebody saw him with a shovel at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning in the backyard. So a little strange. So if you're into Gacy, I definitely suggest checking that out. Devil in Disguise. It was so amazing.
That's the one that I wanted to watch before we did the Brutal Rewind, but we watched the other one.
Yeah.
Mainly because fucking the Devil in Disguise, that was like 6 episodes.
Right.
So we just didn't really have the time to put in at that time.
Dude,
for
yeah.
It. So, and plus we were doing the Deadly Legacy.
Right. I didn't even know about this other one until we were like wrapping that up, and then it was like, boom.
But
like,
it was funny
wow.
because I was talking to Stephanie from Toledo and telling her about I was like, no, there's like 3 of them. I was like, because Borowski's is coming out sometime.
Right.
I was like, then these other 2 just popped out.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure the John Borowski one's going to be great. I'm just anxious to see what he does.
Yep.
But very, very cool. But you can go to that Peacock. I was able to get it, either on your phone, or I use the Roku on ours. And you could do a free trial of it for $5 a month if you want to pay for it. But they have a 7-day free trial. So if you could power watch the 6 episodes, it's well worth it. And that doesn't cost you anything. So anyway, my 2 cents on that. I thought it was great. Now tonight, guys, we got a good one. Now, we started the show 3 years ago, basically this week. Our first episode, a feature on a local story.
Right here
Chris,
in town, in Bloomington.
Yeah, David Hendricks, the whole axe murder in the family bit from the 80s. Big story, as Chris, you said, Bloomington, Illinois, here where we are. And he was eventually acquitted, but a lot of people here in central Illinois believe that he was guilty of killing his wife and 3 little kids with an axe. I mean, as brutal as it gets, man. We decided to do another local story on our 3-year anniversary. And Joey went with the Starved Rock murders because you've been talking about this almost since we've been, getting you on the show.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always going to be a little more interested in, crimes that happen around me that I followed up on growing up or anything like that, and unfortunately Illinois does have a pretty rich history of brutal happenings that have gone on.
Right.
Very tragic events, honestly. But so it's kind of fun to do those just because to be able to give our side of it, from our perspective, being familiarized personally with the cases, it's fun. And it's fun to do the other ones too, of course, where we don't know nothing about it, so we're all learning and everything.
Shit, yeah.
But no, I like this. This is something local to us. It's a story that needs to be shared anyhow.
Right.
And it's worth listening to no matter where you are.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Starved Rock State Park is about an hour north of us in Utica, Illinois. And in 1960, there was a triple homicide in that beautiful place. We have about a 10-minute piece of the interview we did with Steve Stout, who was the definitive book that he wrote on the case called The Starved Rock Murders. It was a good one, Chris. That was a great interview.
Yeah, doing
like 65 minutes long, man.
Yes, it was a great interview. Like I said, the clip we're going to play is pretty good.
Yeah, it's a piece of it, and then we'll release the whole thing a week after this comes out, so you'll be able to hear the whole interview, which is really, really interesting. Steve was just really compelling to listen to. So that's coming up for our murder segment. And we got CK warming up, guys. He started his new chemo today, and most people would be sulking in the corner, but CK is just fucking ready.
Pushing through, buddy. Fuck it.
He's all fired up, ready to talk about the band Enforced from Richmond, Virginia, who we did an interview with. He's been climbing up the light poles up there on Wildman Street and screaming at cars and pedestrians below, causing a scene like he always does, Chris. Just not giving a fuck.
Crazy as shit.
So it's the 3-year anniversary show, and CK is fired the hell up. So you'll hear all about that in the metal segment. And guys, if there was a draw for this episode, I don't know what could outdo the killer cage match. Chris, this thing has just grown legs, man.
Yeah, the Punky Brooks WVK's fucking battle.
Yeah.
Gonna do that live.
Yeah, we're going to do it. It's going to be a lot different than a regular cage match. I'm really excited about this because this is a challenge for me from the audio side of putting this all together. But I think we got it. I think it's going to be cool. So yeah, we got fucking WVK, the weepy voice killer, and we've been joking around, on the show with the different characters and stuff. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And WVK, he calls himself now, guys.
Yeah,
so it's not just weepy voice killer,
which is awesome because I never would have came up with it.
Yeah, and of course the thug and crip from Finley, Joey, who's
Punky Brooks.
Yeah,
which I mean, I went to the house.
Yeah,
Like,
you
I
were
literally-
there, dude.
Yeah, I went to Findlay, fucking Ohio.
Did they change it a lot, or is it pretty much the same
Man, it's fucking trash.
from
So,
outside?
I mean, they were like,
it looks like a shack.
yeah,
man.
and they were like remodeling it or whatever. So I'm pretty sure it's probably like somewhat the same, but it was super sketchy. Like I'll talk about it fucking later. Like in the
Okay.
Mayhem, I'll talk about it for a
Oh,
little,
that'd be great.
just real quick. But
yeah, no, that'd be great.
But no, it was weird. But anyway, doing the Punky thing, and I've joked about like I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna get fucking beat up one of these
Right?
times, by the
Somebody's
wrong
gonna
person.
recognize you.
And so like we're walking around down there in Findlay, Ohio, and I'm just like looking at all these people. There's a lot of sketchy people and shit. And I was just like, man, that might not be too far from the fucking truth. So anyway, I'll tell a little bit more about it later.
all right.
But yeah, Punky Brooks,
Yeah.
Findlay, Ohio, in the cage, man.
So that's gonna be fun. You definitely don't want to miss that. So that'll be in our Mayhem segment.
I'm also going to bring it up because somebody brought it up to me that in our last Killer Cage match, we erroneously said that we were talking about John Bunting from the Snow House Murders.
Snowtown Murders.
Yeah, or Snowtown Murders, but I can't even remember his name. He was another serial killer from over there in Australia,
Yeah.
from Perth, and I didn't bring his name up right now, but we had said his name. So anybody that was over there that
Yes.
caught that, hey,
Yeah.
that's classic. You
Yeah.
caught us up on that one.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Bunting, he's on the list.
Right,
so-
and we love both the cases, so I'm sure we'll
of
get to
course.
it. But
Oh yeah.
no, it's cool that somebody corrected. I'm glad that that
Somebody
shows
caught
that y'all
that,
are
yeah.
listening.
Yeah, does
Definitely.
show that he was listening.
So, no,
was
that's
that
awesome.
Rick?
It wasn't Rick.
Oh,
I can't.
okay.
It was another dude, Adam, from down there.
All
But
right, very cool.
Still, it's like what I'm saying, like awesome because
That is awesome.
we're definitely never going to get everything right.
No.
and we do make mistakes. So
No.
the
Yeah,
best
fuck
part
that.
is whenever we correct it, and like you guys
Right.
call us out. It's like there we go.
That
fucking-
was good catch,
yeah,
man. Good
crowd
catch.
participation.
That's right. Now, huge thanks to our friend Tony Campagna, spellboundeffectsandart.com, for sponsoring the show. He's been with us for quite a while now, so you need to support guys like that, Chris. Some sick ass shit.
Art, dude.
Fucking
Those
baby's
baby
head.
heads that is, and the fucking old man's ones with the old man head with the hand coming out of the mouth.
Yeah,
dude. That's
yeah.
just fucking creepy looking.
It does definitely get your attention when you're scrolling through Facebook to see his stuff. So spellboundeffectsandart.com, you can get your gore. He's got a great online catalog. You can buy some stuff. And if you missed a Voice of Dread podcast a couple episodes ago I did with Tony, you can go to voiceofdread.com and listen. Talks about how he does what he does and some of the inspiration there behind his art. He's just so talented. Also, guys, huge thanks to our friends at Rotten Cotton. So amazing. They're sponsoring this and the Voice of Dread. So those guys have the sickest shirts, stickers, buttons, and even some awesome comics and graphic novels
Right.
that they do. I mean, just
That
really
graphic novel again, like
Yeah.
the artwork in that is so.
And
Yeah,
use the
bottom
coupon
feeder.
code Mayhem,
Mayhem.
that's right.
and you get 15% off your purchase.
Yeah, $20 or more. If you spend $20 or more, yeah, like Joey said, Mayhem is your code, and you get 15% off. Thanks to Murder Metal Mayhem and Rotten Cotton. So go check them out. Really good T-shirts, buttons, all sorts of good shit. We had a very interesting message come up on our Facebook page. Definitely got my attention. It was from a guy who says he's a detective with the Australian Federal Police.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, what? What the hell did we do now? And the basically the equivalent of our FBI is what he says. He says he's a fan of the show, and he made a suggestion for a topic, and I'm trying to work him out to maybe get him to come on the show as a guest. How cool would that be? Especially because we got some upcoming episodes with John Bunting with the Snowtown murders, and then Ivan Milat's coming up, I think, the month after that. So
I just watched Wolf Creek 2 last night.
Brutal.
It was like they based
Exactly.
Big Taylor after him.
Yeah, so I told him that we were going to do Bunting and then Milat,
Hell
like
yeah.
close to each other. Maybe have them on for one interview. We can split it up, you
That
know.
would be fucking sweet.
And he said he would check and see what was up. I Googled him, and it looks legit, but I'm always very cautious because I don't want to look dumb or, you know, have somebody on that's not what he says he is. But this does seem real and legit, so we'll see. But he's supposed to have a background in psychology, studying serial killers. The one he suggested to us, we can't say that he can't be involved with it because he
Right.
was the detective on the
He works
case,
the case, right?
which definitely is interesting. So when I brought up Milat, he said, "Are you talking about Ivan or the nephew?" And I was like, "Nice, you know, I obviously knows what he's talking about." I
yeah.
said, "Oh, it'll be both. There's no way you could talk about
Oh, yeah.
Ivan without bringing up the nephew." So that's I'm looking very forward to that, but I'm holding off on announcing his name. Certainly, if you know, he wants to do it, and I even
Right.
told him we could do it anonymously, like we do with text. So we'll see. So thanks to everybody out there that listens to our show. We keep seeing numbers rolling in. This week we're at 3,200 total, which is great. So thank you guys.
Fuck yeah, keep it up.
Yeah, I mean, with the nice weather, you know, it's cool to see the listens still doing well.
Fuck
You know,
yeah.
people still
Gotta listen to
listening.
something while you're running.
That's right. Yeah, what better thing to listen to when you're out having some fun with friends is jamming some Murder Metal Mayhem. So, Joey, you got any of that serial calendar, the page a day for us?
I actually got quite a few things
Oh, nice.
from it today. There was some really good ones. I even had to paraphrase a couple because they were so long. But the first thing I'm going to say was just a quote. It's from fucking Truman Capote and fucking In Cold Blood, which, P, you have that book. It's basically the first fucking true crime book ever made. But in it, he says, "As long as you live, there's always something waiting. And even if it's bad and you know it's bad, what can you do? You can't stop living." And I thought that was a dope ass, you know,
That's pretty
little
cool.
saying there. So, so the first one that we're going to bring up in the, you know, talking the page of days here is Alton Coleman and Deborah Denise Brown. Now,
Dude.
do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
I've never heard of this
They
one.
meet in '83 and they go on a killing spree in May 1984. They said that they have like a master slave relationship because she has a really low IQ,
Yeah.
and basically like he's in control of everything that's going on.
Right.
So whenever they met and they started on this killing spree, Alton Coleman was already facing charges for sexual assault of a 14-year-old girl. So already, you know, this dude's fucked up.
Right.
So they went into black neighborhoods, and this is all across the Midwest. This is crazy. But they went into black neighborhoods to not attract suspicion
Right.
on who it was, and they preyed on children and the elderly.
Oh, my
And
God.
so the first that they killed was a 9-year-old and a mother in Kenosha, Wisconsin. They tied up and assaulted 2 girls, 7 and 9, in Gary, Indiana. The older girl survived, but the younger one, she did not. There was a 25-year-old in Gary, Indiana, but her body was found a month later in Detroit that they also killed. They beat and robbed a couple in Dearborn Heights, Michigan. They killed a 9-year-old and her mother again, the same kind of situation as their first killing, in Toledo, Ohio. Then before they left Toledo, they tied up. 419. And before they left Toledo, they tied up and robbed another couple. They raped and killed a 15-year-old in Cincinnati.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And so finally, Alton Coleman's on the 10 most wanted list by this point. They go to Norwood, Ohio, and they beat a couple to death. They rape the woman, steal their car, kidnap a college professor, and put him in the trunk. They find him alive later on, the professor. So they steal a reverend's car to get back to Illinois, but they stopped in Indianapolis to hijack and murder a 75-year-old man. They get up to Evanston and get popped off.
Jesus.
That's the crazy shit.
Oh,
right
my
there.
God.
Yeah. Like, we should do that
yeah,
one. For
that's
sure.
a definite one. Yeah.
So, no, I thought that
brutal,
was good.
man.
But yeah, you heard about that one,
Jesus.
Chris?
Yeah, I definitely heard
That's
that.
crazy, man.
Okay, so
Wow.
page a day. Okay,
Yeah.
so the next one that I was going to bring up, so this one's just kind of funny, but in 1986, there's this 20-year-old named Christopher Thomas Knight, and he goes into the wilderness in the North Pond area of Maine. He has two brief encounters, a simple hi to a passing hiker, and then when an angler fisherman and his son stumble on his camp and they were sworn to secrecy, he wouldn't be heard from or seen like forever again. So he survives all those bitter Maine winters by waking up during the coldest time of the night as low as -25 and pacing until he was warm again. He didn't build fires. Instead of cooking with instead of fire, he would cook with propane tanks that he stole from nearby campsites. He stockpiled supplies, stole from local camps and residences, and he stayed inside his camp between November and March so he couldn't be tracked by his footprints.
Oh, my God.
He was arrested on April 4th, 2013, 27 years after he took off.
Jesus.
While burgling in a camp in Rome, Maine. And they were relieved then, the locals, because they kept wondering, where all their shit was going. And there'd been probably 50 times cabins had been broken into up there, and batteries, flashlights, stakes, everything was up there. It was fucking getting stolen. And
I've heard that before.
he got 7 months in jail, was ordered to pay $2,000 in restitution.
Oh, my God. Wow. Yeah, page a day is just fucking killing
I
me
thought
with
that one was pretty funny, though. So they brought up Moses Sithole because ABC killers, there's a lot of them. Like, honestly, a bunch of people have been called the ABC killer.
Right.
And a lot of them for different reasons.
Right.
Which is crazy. But Moses Sithole from South Africa, he was known as ABC killer there because he killed in 3 cities, Atteridge, Boxburg, and Cleveland, so ABC.
Interesting.
So in October 1995, he calls a newspaper in Johannesburg, and he says he killed 76 women to avenge a 14-year prison sentence for rape he did, but he didn't do. This guy was a youth counselor at a fake charity called Youth Against Human Abuse, which he lured some in with promises of work and stuff like that. And then he would basically kill them and strangle them with their own clothing and shit. Throw their bodies just in the woods or just, fucking whatever areas, not really hiding them, but.
So he called the news, though, to
He
tell
called,
this?
yeah, no, he called the news and told
Wow.
them. So then he tells an interviewer whenever he was talking about the women that he killed, he was like, I have taught them a very good lesson. That's what he said.
Jesus Christ.
And then whenever they go to apprehend him, he comes after them with an axe and he wields it at these 2 officers, and I think he wounded 2 of them pretty bad before he was finally shot in the stomach and the foot, and they took him down. He didn't die there, but yeah. So Moses Sithole, that motherfucker.
That's
is
another
crazy.
one. Yeah, that would be interesting. Jesus.
All right, and so the last one I got, and oh no, I got 2 more. I'm sorry. Like I said, it's 3-year anniversary.
Yeah, that's all right.
Now this one is one that we've already been talking about, but then Page a Day fucking did their take on it, so I had to bring it up.
Okay.
And it's the San Francisco Witch Killers.
Nice.
So I mean, we've talked about this a little bit.
Yeah,
So
and we're going to do an episode on
so
them,
I'm just
too.
going to paraphrase a little bit, but if you haven't heard our other episodes where we talked about it, yeah, we're going to be doing this. But in 1977, James Carson, he gets all weird that his wife and his daughter end up taking off, and splitting all ties with him.
Yeah,
and his
they don't want
acquaintances.
to fuck with him.
So he meets this woman, Susan Barnes, and they changed their name to Michael Bear Carson and Susan Bear Carson, claiming those were the names that God gave them. They moved to the Haight-Ashbury area of San Francisco, which is a drug haven.
Right.
They started Killing Spree in 1981 when they claimed their roommate, Karen Barnes, who wasn't related. They claimed she falsely converted to their religion, so they drained her of her health and yogic powers. They stabbed Barnes 13 times, bludgeoned her, wrapped her in a blanket, and hid her in a basement. So, I mean, that's how that one was started. And then they go, after they kill her, they go to the mountains near Grants Pass, Oregon.
Did they think she was a witch?
Yeah. So they go work on a marijuana farm in Alder Point.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and so Michael ends up shooting and killing Clark Stevens, who also works on the farm. They had argued after Stevens accused him of sexually assaulting his wife. So he attempts to burn his body and bury him in the woods with chicken fertilizer, but his body is found in 2 weeks. The Carsons, they're suspected, but they've already taken off, so they can't get caught. But they did leave behind a manifesto talking about how they wanted to kill Ronald Reagan and a bunch of other key figures.
Oh, my God.
Then he's picked up in Los Angeles in November, but because of a police error, he gets released. So then they take off again.
God damn, dude.
In 1983, they pick up John Hellier, who's hitchhiking in Bakersfield, California. They decide that he's a witch. Fight breaks out as he was driving. They pull over, and the fight continues outside the car, and Susan stabbed Hellier as he and Michael wrestled for a gun.
Jesus.
Once Michael had the gun, he shot Hellier in plain view of everyone, one of whom called the cops. So So the Carsons attempt to flee in his car, but they were apprehended by the police after a high-speed chase.
Michael Bear Carson.
They hold a 5-hour press conference and smile for the cameras as they confess to all the killings. And they claim to be pacifists, despite the murders, vegetarian yoga Muslim warriors who were on a crusade to exterminate witches. They were disgusted with the American way of life and proclaimed that witchcraft, homosexuality, and abortion are causes for death. So, I mean, these motherfuckers were fucked up. We're going to do them. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be... I can't even wait.
Okay.
I can't even wait.
So the last one I got wasn't one that I got from Page. It was from Page a Day, but it just referenced it. And I had told Pete while I was looking for the Starved Rock book by Steve Stout, which I could not locate. It's in my shit somewhere. I came across this other book about this serial killer up in Detroit. It's a cold case, though, one that's never been solved.
Okay.
So I have the book here, and but I was going to paraphrase what they were talking about. If I remember what the hell we were doing.
What the hell are we doing?
Yeah. So this is in Michigan. So Oakland County Child Killer, the OKCK, that's what they called him, or the OCCK. OCCK.
Oh no!
Holy shit! So the Oakland County Child Killer. So this is a guy, and he kills like these 4 or 5 young kids, and all of them are very, very young. This is in the 70s, and he basically, after he kills, sexually assaults, and everything else, he redresses these kids and puts them on snow piles around Detroit.
Wow.
And it was just like
That's fucked
it was
up.
it was in super contrast to the fact that it was such a nice, it looks nice because it looks pretty like the post,
Yeah.
but it's such a brutal act that was done,
Right.
So they found like there was one 10-year-old girl, and she was found 19 days after she had gone missing from a 7-Eleven, and disturbingly, her autopsy showed that she had been murdered within the previous 24 hours, meaning that she had been held captive that whole time. There was an 11-year-old named Timothy King that disappeared. And somebody say that they saw him getting into a car, which was a blue AMC Gremlin, which, I mean, obviously that's not a very known or a very had car,
Right.
So they kind of had a little bit of an
Pretty
idea.
Right.
And one of the main suspects was a convicted pedophile who was serving a life sentence in Michigan, and there were hair samples taken from his car that matched those on the bodies of 2 of the victims, but law enforcement didn't have enough evidence to hold him.
Wow.
And he claimed that he often let his pedophile friends use his car, so that would be a reason why it's possible that those could have been transferred.
Jesus.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, that is.
And it was also confirmed that he also failed a polygraph test. So there was another suspect named Theodore Lamborghini. I think that's how you say it. It may be Lamborghini or something, but he was busted in a multi-state child pornography ring. Thanks to the investigation into the OCCK murders.
Oh, wow.
But DNA
like a can of
exonerated him
fucking
of the
worms.
killings of them. Right. And then there was a top executive at General Motors, Christopher Bush, who also dealt in child pornography, and he had been convicted of raping another
God.
teen who was a childhood acquaintance. And through mitochondrial DNA, they found a match between like one of his hair and then one of the victims.
Oh my God.
I don't know. It's a really fucked up case.
Yeah.
Like
a lot
I said,
of people get involved.
exactly,
With this.
and it's a cold case. But like I said, I just happened upon this story,
Yeah.
and then I happened upon the book at the same
Yeah.
time. So we'll bring that one.
No, that's cool.
Probably later.
Lots of good fucking fodder for episodes. That's for
so
sure.
there, page a day. Thank you a
Yeah,
lot. There was a
for
lot of
sure.
shit, but we've been gone a little bit. So.
That's right. Well, Chris and Joey, we got a lot on our plate tonight. We're going to be taking a short trip up north to the beautiful state park that was the scene of a gruesome triple homicide.
Fuck yeah, let's get our murder on, man.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, power trip, man. Hell yeah.
Hornet's Nest is the name of the fucking diner here in Hayworth. I'm going to see if they want to use that as their theme song.
That's fucking
It's called Hornet's Nest. I mean, Joey, right?
It seems like it was made to be.
Why not? I've been jamming the shit out of some fucking power trip here the last couple weeks. Man, those guys are so amazing. And it is so sad about their singer, but I believe they've got some more stuff coming. So apparently they found somebody to, replace. And I know, he was a pretty, big part of that band, but, it's cool that they continue on. I'm sure that's what he would have wanted too. Yeah. So anxious to see what's up next for those guys. Now, tonight we're going to be doing our feature on a case that many of our listeners that are outside Central Illinois are probably, not aware of at all. But even some of us that are from here may not know much about this case since it was, over 60 years ago. The Starved Rock murders, definitely an interesting topic. Yeah, I mean, if you believe what the police say, Chester Weger was convicted and March 1960. Longest serving inmate in Illinois history, but he was surpassed. We'll talk about that later with another one of our previous cases.
Yeah.
Like with most stories like these, there are some that don't believe he was the killer. There are people that are, all about, trying to get him, free Chester. And of course, he's out now, and we'll get to all that, But I think... it's always going to be hotly debated. Did he do it? I saw one of our listeners actually commented, Chris, and said, I don't think he did it. So even, I'm sure our listeners will be divided about it too. And that's cool.
Then we could have another kind of killer cage match.
That's right. That's right. Listeners fighting each other. We'll be playing 10 minutes of the interview we did with author Steve Stout, who wrote the definitive book on the subject, and we'll be digging deep into that story of 3 women from Chicago that were murdered in such a beautiful place. So, Joey, you are the one that brought this up. How is it that you first stumbled on this one?
Whenever I was a kid, teenager, probably 16, something like that. Whenever I lived up where Chris lived, I went to Starved Rock, and I had never been there before, so that was like the first time. But of course, that's the biggest nature spot to go to around our part, I guess.
Right,
it's huge.
So we went up there, and then you go through the gift shop, and then there's a book there called The Starved Rock Murders by Steve Stout. and I picked that up, and I had no idea about it, and it was about the homicide of the women.
Yeah.
So that's what got me interested in that. Of course, Starved Rock is the site of much worse atrocity.
Yeah, we're going to
some
talk
Native
about that.
Americans.
Yeah.
But in this case, talking about the homicide of these 3 ladies, that the book was there.
Yeah.
And so ever since I was a teenager, I've been knowing about this case.
Right.
Went to the same place where the women were found, and you know, so it's just kind of cool because it was a local spot for a true crime.
Right.
And the book was written by a guy who lived right here. So.
Yeah, yeah. Chris, what about you? I mean, you're from here. I'm not, but you are, of course. But you...
Yeah, I knew about the murders. I mean, more than a lot of things I know that we do until I research it. But I found out more about it, like the interview with Steve and just the documentaries. And I didn't actually read the book, but...
Yeah, I didn't
Steve
either.
explained a lot of it, though.
He did. Yeah, he really did. So that's cool. You know, I didn't move here until 1990, so I never even heard of Starved Rock, let alone 3 murders that happened in 1960, even before my time, as old as I am. But for me, watching the Starved Rock Murders documentary and talking to Steve Stout was a huge learning experience for me. A very interesting case. And we chose this one again because, you know, we did our very first one on a local case. So why not for our 3-year anniversary do another one? So,
which ironically, Steve Stout also had some ties with the Hendrix character himself.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely interesting. We'll have him back. I know we will. Now, I think we should explain how Starved Rock got its name, because I'm sure a lot of people listening to this are like, what's the deal with Starved Rock? What does that mean? I thought the same thing when I first heard people talk about it. I'm like, what the fuck is Starved Rock? It's really weird. And it's
like
such a beautiful place, you know.
It's like the rock giant in the Never-Ending Story. No rocks, can't eat.
Right.
Rock.
Now, there is some debate about this because it happened at a time when there's no records kept. And stories are just kind of passed down by storytellers around campfires, and, you know, things get exaggerated sometimes. Sometimes details are left out. But some say it was due to the Native Americans that occupied this area of central Illinois, which would be in the area near Highway 80 in the town of Utica. Of course, Highway 80 was not there when this happened. But that's what we're talking about if you're from here. You wouldn't think that it was Illinois, though. It's very mountainous, very beautiful, nothing like cornfields and bean fields.
Nothing like where we're at.
Which is where we are, right? Now, the Ottawa Indian tribe had a leader by the name of Pontiac. I thought that was kind of cool, Chris. I mean, obviously where Pontiac got its name. Yeah. And he was assassinated in 1769 by a member of the Illinois tribe, who was also known as Illiniwek. According to legend, the Ottawa and the Potawatomi, that's a tongue twister.
That's what I do, smoke a lot of pot.
Attacked the Illiniwek at the Illinois River. And so the Illiniwek move up to higher ground, which is this bluff that overlooks the river, which is, of course, known now as Starved Rock. And so the story is that the Ottawa and the Potawatomi tribes circled them and surrounded them and basically starved them out because they weren't going to, you know, there was just like a stalemate, you know.
There was nothing they could do. And jumped over the cliff, which some did.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, it's just a brutal thing. And some say the Illiniwek were exterminated during the attack, but that apparently was not true. But like with most legends, we really, really don't know. But Joey, that is a pretty brutal fucking backstory to why this is called Starved Rock.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean,
could almost do an episode just on that.
You could absolutely
100%.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty wicked, and who knows? Maybe we will. Do a brutal rewind.
And what's really messed up about this case too, and you know, Steve Stout said in the interview too, but one of the only reasons that you're even hearing about the case is because it was at a national park called Starved Rock.
Right.
So it was attention grabbing in the headlines, and so it made international news.
Yeah, that's true, man. Now, the property changed hands a few times and was sold to the state of Illinois in 1911. 898 acres of land in one of the most beautiful state parks in the United States. And so there's a little history lesson for you, so you just kind of know what we're talking about, again, with this interesting lore of how it became known as Starved Rock. So, March of 1960, fast forward a few hundred years, 3 women from the Chicago area went to Starved Rock for a little relaxation after a long winter. One of them had been caring for a sick relative, so she was just like ready for a fucking break.
Vacation, yeah.
You know, Frances Murphy was 47, Mildred Lindquist was 50, and Lillian Oding was 50. They were from the suburb of Riverside, which is about 90 miles northeast of Starved Rock. And apparently they made this trip every year about this time, Chris.
Right.
So just
And then,
get away.
and you never know what the weather's going to be like in Illinois. And
That's true in March.
dude.
Right.
Never know
So
what you
kind
get.
of an odd time of the year to go to a place like that. But for whatever reason, it worked for them and they did it every year. Now, I thought it was interesting that there were supposed to be 6 of them, but 3 backed out. If
For
all
different
6 were
reasons.
there, I'm thinking this probably wasn't going to happen. I can't imagine him attacking 6 women together
Right.
like that. But, you know, we'll talk about it. It was a 3-day trip planned, according to one of the daughters that they interviewed, I saw. The women were married to businessmen from Chicago. March 14th, they checked in at the lodge.
I wish I had. I didn't save it, but I saw an article where they were talking about this and about how, well, look at what the businessmen did, and they showed like what each husband like for his job or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And they were like, that right there at that time's prime racketeering and everything else. And they were like,
Oh, wow.
there's a whole lot of reasons why those women could have been set up out there.
Interesting.
And I saw another angle to it, but yeah, it
Interesting.
was weird because, yeah, their husbands were very prominent businessmen.
Huh. Very interesting. So, yeah, so they check in March 14th, 1960. They go for a hike in the canyon and never return. St. Louis Canyon, which is the spot. Now, Chris, if you recall when we talked with Steve Stout, he said these women were not wearing clothes that you would expect to see hikers wearing. Some of the pictures you could see, they're wearing like dresses and shit.
Yeah, I mean, like the 60s is more ladylike. You still wore dresses and shit no matter where you went when you were a lady back then. And they didn't know shit about hiking fucking shoes like that. Those
Right.
were for rich people anyway. Well, I guess they were prominent.
They were rich people.
No, that's what I'm
so
saying.
messed
They
up.
were
And-
prominent. Yeah.
And they had been going there for years.
Yeah, you
Right.
think they'd
You would
know.
think they
So
would
that's
know.
what I'm saying. I don't know. I feel like they would have a little bit better. I don't know. Change of clothes for that situation. It is weird.
It is, because their suitcases were in their rooms
Yeah.
untouched.
And
So
I
even
get
if they
it.
brought clothes, they didn't take them with them on the hike.
Right. And I get it that back then, yeah, women were like ladies.
Right. Wore
Yeah.
dresses. Right.
So more time than not. So it's not, impossible to think that they were out there. It's somewhat like that, but I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
it
It
you
seems
know where you're
strange.
going hiking because you've been there
And
before.
it's snowy
Right.
and shit.
And it's snowy and shit.
Yeah.
I don't-
8 inches of snow at that.
Yeah. There's a lot of questions. to
Yeah,
this,
a
so-
lot of strange things. But it wasn't until the next day, March 15th, when the husband of Frances Murphy called the lodge for her, and no one knows where they are. And you got to remember, again, it's 1960, so there's no, cell phones, no Facebook Live, no Twitter, nothing like that.
Operator, how can I place your call?
That's right. That's right. So there's probably not even phones in the cabin. So really, you're talking about having to call somebody to go run to
Yeah.
whatever cabin they were in or room they were in.
We call back. Yeah.
Yeah, just not a very, not what we're used to, of course, today. So the fact that it takes like a day or two for things to happen seems like forever, like now. But at that time, that wasn't that uncommon. The room they rented, as I said, was untouched and the suitcases were still packed. There's no snow on the car, so they didn't go anywhere. The police do a search for the women, and then oddly, some kids that were there from like a local detention center.
Yeah, they had them out searching too.
Yeah, and they found them, and that's just awful for anybody to find, let alone kids. stashed in the
It
bodies.
is fucking weird that they just grab the kids to go find.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they were hoping they would find them alive.
Sure.
so
And I'm
what?
sure they were like teenagers. They weren't like little kids.
Right.
But still, it's fucked up. The cave there at the St. Louis Canyon is where the bodies were. They were partially undressed. Their clothes were torn, bound with twine. 2 of the 3 were bound with twine. Their coats were placed between their legs, which is kind of odd. It was like he was embarrassed for them or maybe felt guilty for what he did. But we have seen shit like that before, like the man on the train. He covered all his axe murder victims up. And then John List, remember that case,
Covered his
guys,
whole
who
body up,
covered his family up when he killed them. So that happens. But Joey, I heard Steve Stout say in the documentary that 2 of the women were raped. But did you hear anything different? Because I know Steve wondered, and there was something else I read that also wondered if it would happen after they were dead.
Right. No, I didn't really see anything one way or another. It was never confirmed. Wait, I don't even think the medical records showed that.
I'm not sure.
I can't remember. And if it was never like fully linked. Like he never got charged with sexual assault or
No, he did not.
But the thing that you got to think about is, were they just pinned in murder at the time? Like, was it not? They look at the bigger issue at the time, maybe.
Sure.
But the thing is there was somebody else that had also been raped right before that.
Right.
So that's why it does become a big indicator if it did happen.
Right.
That possibly it could have been the same thing.
Yeah, it definitely adds a new wrinkle to the story.
Yeah, it's such an old case. That's what it is. With us doing one like this, it's like everything that they determined factually correct was already put down. Like case closed, basically to the state or whatever. But the longer you go through, and then the internet comes along, more people get to talk about it. And you start seeing possibilities. Yeah, so it's a whole new ballgame.
Yeah, it's
now
a totally
talking about
different
old
era
case.
by a police force that's not used to dealing with homicides.
Exactly.
That's the other thing too.
Yeah, for sure.
To their defense, I guess. Now, one issue the police had was snow. We mentioned 8 inches of fucking snow.
Yeah.
They're using flamethrowers to melt the snow and shit, which I thought was pretty wild.
That's badass.
Yeah, those guys are pretty hardcore. But all 3 of the women had head trauma, and it was assumed that it was caused by a large frozen tree limb that was found there at the scene with blood on it. So they had pieces of the limb in their heads,
Right.
and there's blood on this big frozen limb that they said frozen was like a block of ice, literally. But once it thawed out, it just disintegrated.
Yeah, it fell apart.
So very interesting situation here. This would be, of course, an important part of the clue. They also find a camera with some film in it and some broken binoculars. So it does seem like, despite having 8 inches of fucking snow and out there with flamethrowers, they did a pretty good job, I think, Chris. I mean, legit,
That burned the evidence down, I guess. Shit.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like they did a pretty good job finding stuff. So they must have, had a method to their madness. But in the beginning, they thought it was a sex crime. That would be obvious. If 2 of the women are bound and their clothes are torn, that's pretty likely that did happen. Now, Chris, we talked to Steve about that film and that camera, and at first the police thought that they may have actually got a picture of the killer, and that seemed kind of sensationalized, right?
Yeah, Steve said he had the same camera
Yeah.
that they found, and you had to wind it to get the next picture lined up. And if you didn't do it enough or you did it too much, you get double exposure. So it was 2 pictures on top of each other. So
yeah.
That wasn't a picture of the killer or whatnot.
Yeah, and then there was another picture where all 3 of the women were in the picture. So who took the picture? But then when you look at it, it looks like it was a double exposure. One picture was of one,
right?
Like that. So pretty interesting. Talking to Steve about that. The old Argus camera. He said it was like a tank, but
right.
well put together, old school technology, that's for sure. Police start investigating the murders, and one of the people they talk to is the dishwasher there at the Starved Rock Lodge, Mr. Chester Weger. He enters the story now. Some of his coworkers said that he showed up to work that day with scratches on his face. That's kind of suspicious.
So his coworkers said that. Did the investigators not see that?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what
weird,
I
too.
wondered too,
Yeah.
because it's like, how minuscule were they that they didn't pick up on it?
Right.
You know?
If you're talking
They
to
healed
them
up
and you're
like-
fucking trying to pick up on shit, you
Yeah.
think you would see that.
Unless they were healed by the time they talked to him, I
Yeah.
don't know how quickly they started talking to him. But some of his coworkers, said that. And in addition, in the kitchen where Chester worked was a ball of twine that was found to be an exact match to the twine
Yeah.
that was found at the scene. So that's pretty damning. He also lived within walking distance to the lodge and very easily could have stumbled upon the women on his way to work that day or way home. I'm not sure how it would have worked out.
I
But-
said, didn't he have some of the twine in his pocket?
Yeah, he did.
I think
Yeah.
you're right. He did.
Yeah,
He did.
which is like even more
Right.
incriminating.
Exactly. So lots of things pointing the finger at Chester Weger. Now, Joey, the evidence is obviously building up here. He looks pretty guilty. And I heard that he was working at the lodge when the police did their press conference from there. So that's kind of
Yeah, I mean,
fucked up, right?
He was employed at the lodge. He was there whenever the shit went down. He was, I mean, as a matter of fact, working the day,
Right.
and so this became like we said, an international story overnight, kind of,
Right.
before they had caught him or accused him or whatnot.
Right.
So while this case is like unfolding for the world, yeah, he's still employed there, so he's there.
Right.
They're
It's
doing the
just
press
crazy.
conferences, and he's like, "Oh shit, that's crazy." So if he is the one that did it, I mean, I don't know. You hear about some of those killers that get off on that shit. You know?
Yeah, or like the fire starters that like
For
to
sure.
go watch, you
Yeah.
know. Now, Chris, I know Steve Stout thought the motive was robbery and that the killing and sex crimes were only done because he possibly was attacked with the binoculars. That's why they were broken. He thought that Weger wouldn't have hurt them if they had some money, and especially if he kept them tied up, and that he wouldn't have killed them. What do you think?
I could kind of go with that, but he didn't take anything of value. So I thought that was weird. But pretty much, all he wanted though was cash, is what Steve said.
Yeah.
One of the ladies got away. He hit her with the binoculars, and he said, "All right, shit," hit her, and then went back to get the other two because he had to at that point.
Right.
So
Yeah, it's interesting, and we're going to get more into the details here. But just kind of as we go through this, all these little sub stories
Yeah.
just kind of percolating in the background. You kind of wonder, he claims, of course, he didn't do it, but the police are, mounting some pretty damning evidence against
But they're
him.
talking about he possibly did it for robbery situation, and
Right.
nothing was really taken.
Right.
And if you have all the time in the world to arrange the bodies or do whatever you want with them, you're going to be able to get the shit that you fucking were going to rob them for in the first
Right.
place.
Right.
So it was really weird. Now, if two of them had been sexually assaulted, even post-mortem, and you look to the fact that somebody else had been assaulted, another girl months before,
Right.
the same spot,
Right.
maybe that's a better MO than robbery in this situation.
Yeah.
And also points a bigger finger at Chester Weger. Probably.
Right. I think you're right. Another thing that was fascinating to learn was when we spoke with Steve Stout, was the description that Chester gave to the police about seeing a red and white airplane that day above Starved Rock. And when they looked into it, they go to the closest airport, which was in Ottawa, and they found a plane that met the description that had flown over St. Louis Canyon on that day. At that time, the murders happened. So the fact that Chester said he saw the plane and the canyon at that time puts him right at the scene where the murders happened. Pretty tough to argue against that. I thought that was, interesting. Joey, I thought the whole thing with the plane was really an interesting angle to this that I had not heard anywhere else.
Yeah, and I mean, so everything's a double-edged sword. Now I'm going to go back to what we were talking about, how old case is, and now everybody being able to give an opinion changes things around. So
Right.
you have Chester Weger, it's like, holy shit, that dude knew some shit, that you probably couldn't have known unless you were right there and you witnessed it.
Right.
And you see the plane. So that's really good.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, the skeptics and the people who think that he was innocent of it,
Right.
that's exactly the kind of information they're saying that he was spoon-fed to say,
Right.
so that they could be like, oh, well, there's no way that he could have known.
Right.
So, man, it's
Yeah.
it's so hard to say
I
because
know.
it's such an old case, and
I know.
I tend to sway more towards the way that they probably got the right guy.
Right.
But if they didn't, and it's a
Yeah.
weird case, then that shows a little more corruption in that area. I'm not really feeling like, especially LaSalle at that time, was too rich in police corruption.
No, and we're going to talk about all the
Yeah.
different people that were there when he confessed.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
pretty hard
completely
to
feel
say.
like they were super overwhelmed by everything.
Yeah.
So it's not like they could have orchestrated that.
I don't think so either. Now, Chester Weger was questioned repeatedly, had 3 sessions with a lie detector test and passed. That was the one that the state did. Interestingly, Weger matched the description, and Joey, you were alluding to this, of a man who raped a young teenage girl, bound her with twine only 6 months before, and robbed her boyfriend. They were there on their first date at a nearby Matheson State Park, which is only 2 miles from
That
Starved
place is
Rock.
dope too.
I've never been there. Is it nice?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
dope.
So, I mean, that is just absolutely horrible. The girl actually picks Weger out of a photo lineup, but the police didn't do anything. They told them they didn't believe their story and just told them to get lost,
Yeah. It's
which is
stupid.
fucked up. But unfortunately, rape at that time was looked at a lot differently. It's awful. Obviously, it's not right.
It was the victim's fault back then, remember?
It was, yeah, and that's shitty, for sure. I'm sure the rich or the young couple was, incredibly embarrassed about the whole thing, and so nothing's ever done. But the police are starting to realize that Weger is likely the guy that murders the 3 women from Chicago. He was given a different lie detector test, and he failed that one. That was the one that I think the county gave him, Chris. Is that right?
I mean, that makes
I
the
think
most sense.
the state's attorney from LaSalle County kind of took the bull by the horns here. He didn't like the way the state was running the case. They give him this other lie detector test, and he fails. And the guy administering the test, who was supposed to be like very well renowned,
Right.
said he's your killer. He was the only one that failed out of everybody that they
No
they
shit.
talked to. So pretty damning. Again, you just stack in the coins
Right.
against him. I mean, not one thing damns him, but you start to think, how much bad luck does one guy have, On November 16th, the state's attorney brings in Weger from LaSalle County. They brought his parents in to talk to him. Chester's mother told him to tell the police the truth, and it was right after that he confessed the murder of the 3 women. As we learned from Steve Stout, he even took the police to the murder scene.
Yeah,
They
the
show that in the
reenact-
documentary.
Yeah, he reenacted what he did. Like,
Yeah,
holy
he takes
shit.
him out there. He shows him how he was able to subdue all 3. He seemed very cooperative because he was trying to get away from that death penalty, I think, which would make sense. They told him, hey, if you cooperate, you show us what happened, we're not going to go for the death penalty, or that the chance of you getting the death penalty would be less, because they did go for the death penalty.
Right.
Of course. So I'm not quite sure how that worked out. I'm just saying that could have been part of his thought process, is let me be forthcoming. Maybe I won't get the death penalty.
Right.
Joey, when we talked with Steve Stout about this, some questioned how he was able to subdue 3 of them at the same time. Now, they were wearing dresses and maybe not in the best clothes for where they were, but if he was able to knock them out with the tree limb, at least 1 or 2 of them, I could see it happening.
Yeah.
I mean, he seemed like he was in pretty good shape, pretty young guy.
And the fact that they figured that it was a trailing that was used for the weapon coincides with the wounds that they had, and the fact that, like you said, they had, you know, pieces of it in their hair and everything else. It makes a lot of sense. The only thing that also makes you kind of wonder, because like I said, you know, there was a few conspiracy theories that maybe it was a hit on these wives of these businessmen, but because, I mean, to be honest, if someone starts plugging somebody with a stick, are they fast enough to knock you all out in the same exact area without any of you getting away? Or, I mean, it's a lot to take in. Can somebody do this?
Right.
Chester Weger was not like some Haas kid, you know. He was kind of spindly, like he wasn't.
Yeah,
he wasn't like a corn-fed boy,
Right.
So to wheel that thing,
unless they were so scared they like froze,
right?
You know,
and that's why I'm saying, without being there in that situation, nobody's ever really gonna know,
right?
But it leaves a lot to be questioned. It's like, okay, well, if he did do that, then goddamn, how did he do that? I want to know more.
Or he came up behind him maybe and hit one of them and knocked them out, and then had only two to deal with. I don't know. It's interesting.
So if one of them's trying to act a hero and smacking him with the binoculars and shit,
right?
Then that's one that didn't run right there, so that makes sense. You know, I mean,
yeah, it's possible, of course, it is. You know, but it is interesting to bat it around.
Totally.
Now, after his confession, Chester Weger would claim it was coerced out of him. We've heard that before with many of these crime docuseries, like Making a Murderer. Definitely makes you wonder about confessions. I mean, we've talked about it before. False confessions are a thing.
They happen a lot.
You know,
honestly.
they do. But in this case, Weger would say one time that the police put a gun in his face and made him sign it, and then other times he was beaten up to signing it, is what he said.
Yeah, he had different stories of what happened.
Yeah, he kind of changes his story a bit. As Steve Stout points out, that rhymes. Weger signed each page of that confession. So you see that in the documentary where he's literally, every page of it is signed by him.
They put typos in it.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Steve talked about how they intentionally
put typos in there, so when it gets corrected,
you initial next to it.
And it's like, they read through the whole thing.
Right. It shows they read it to where they picked out mistakes, right? So that's very interesting.
That's fucking some
he said it was a
bro.
thing, you know. Another thing that Steve Stout told us was that the police had his parents there to visit him during the confession. His wife was there, other cops, a doctor, even a judge was there. There was the court reporter taking down exactly what was said. Very unlikely she would have falsified documents. You know, she would have lost her job. It just doesn't seem that there was ill intentions here. That's my personal opinion.
I don't know if we said this earlier, too. Chester Weger had 2 kids, too, at this time.
He did. Yeah, he did, because they're in the courtroom. Yeah. Talk about that. They wouldn't have done it with that many people around if they really were in there beating a confession out of somebody. I mean, that's my opinion.
Take it.
You're not going to do that with his mom and dad coming in the room 5 minutes later. You know, it's just not going to make any sense. Another thing is he had a tattoo on his arm that said Rocky. That was one of his nicknames. And there was some graffiti on a rock in the canyon that also said Rocky. So kind of interesting there. Another coincidence? I'm not sure. Grand jury was convened. If he did that, that'd be about the dumbest fucking thing ever. Sign your name at the fucking scene of the crime or your nickname. I mean, duh.
If you're tagging up the canyons anyway, you're a piece of shit.
Exactly.
419.
309 or 815. The grand jury was convened, and Chester Weger was not only indicted for the 3 murders, but also the rape and robbery of the young couple in Matheson State Park. But for some reason, they only tried Weger for the murder of one of the women, Lillian Oding. I'm guessing that they had the strongest case with her.
Which is kind of odd that...
why that one? But I guess they had to pick one. And then I did watch something today, Joey, so I was getting ready to ask you if you knew anything about that. But I did see something in a documentary I watched today, the one about where they interview him.
Yeah.
And one of the news reports says the reason why they only charged him with her murder was that they figured if they didn't get the right sentence they wanted, they had the other 2.
Yeah.
So they wanted to just charge him for
Right.
one. So if they needed to, they could go after
if
him
it
for the
fell
other.
through for any reason, they would still have the backup. Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that too.
That's
that
interesting.
makes perfect sense.
It does. It really does. It does. Chester Uyghur's trial begins February 1961, so they're not fucking around back in the day. You're getting tried pretty quick after it's over. His defense attorney would put most of his cards on the fact that the confession was coerced and that Chester was innocent. But there's a lot of evidence here. I mean, the scratches on the face, the twine, the rape and robbery at the Matheson Park, the proximity of his house to the lodge and where all this stuff happened. He claims the scratches were from shaving. There was blood found on his leather jacket, which apparently the FBI was unable to prove whether it was animal or human. So lots of things, working against him there. March 3rd, 1961, the jury comes back with a guilty verdict and sentenced Uyghur to life in prison. The state was pushing for the death penalty, and that was a thing back then in Illinois,
Yeah, it was.
the electric chair. But Steve Stout mentioned just what you were saying, Joey, that Uyghur had 2 young kids, and they were strategically placed right behind him.
Killed his father of these young
Yeah, so the
children.
jury's looking at these 2 little kids like,
Yeah.
man, that's fucked up. That would add to the quandary of what do I do, as an individual. So, that could have, been the reason why he did not get the death penalty. He was given life. Uyghur did file appeals, but his verdict was upheld. He was in various prisons in Illinois before he eventually got paroled in November of 2019 after serving 59 years in prison. That's a long fucking time.
It's a long
Wow.
time in the joint.
Yeah, but William Hirons, another former Illinoisan that we covered here, has him beat. He did 65, but he died in prison. So he would have kept going, I guess. But
Uyghur got out.
Uyghur got out.
Yeah, or he would have kept going.
Right, that's true. That's true. Because he's still alive.
Yeah.
Now, Chris, what do you think about him getting paroled? I mean, Steve Stout joked about him getting paroled right before the
I
pandemic
thought his
started.
joke about that shit was funny because, like you
It
said,
was.
you get out of prison, you get to a whole different kind of prison where well, I thought that was pretty fucking funny. But I mean,
Yeah,
he did 59 fucking years. I guess like they paroled him. What
right.
did he do?
Yeah,
It
exactly.
felt like he was able to go.
Now, we've been talking about this interview we did with Steve, and we're going to play a 10-minute piece of that here right now for you.
That's an hour-long interview.
Yeah, it's
full
a
thing.
62 or 63-minute long interview, so that we're going to release the entire interview a week from this episode coming out. So I think it's the 23rd, Friday the 23rd is when this full interview will be out. But for now, check out this little 10-minute clip.
Today, as I did, I was being told everything to say. And I said, my interviews with people who were actually on the scene, it was very apparent that Chester Uyghur was leading that parade, that he was telling his story. He was showing how he did it.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Now, did he have a record, Steve, of other crimes?
Very slight. When he had
I know the
juvenile
Matheson
thing-
Park thing, but that he never got pinned with that.
No,
but
he didn't.
other
He
than
didn't
that,
have any. He had a juvenile record and stuff. And one of the little known facts about my book is my whole first chapter. I wrote about his juvenile record and put stuff in there. But then I was after I got the book all completed, I read it myself again. I just thought, man, it makes me look like an armchair psychiatrist saying, "Oh well, he was always
Right.
headed toward this path of murder.
Right.
Look at what he did when he did and did as a kid." And I said, well, that is, maybe because it's about him, but I just didn't feel it was part of the story, believe it or not.
right?
So I dumped the whole first chapter and just started with the rape robbery, because I think even though it's he did bad things when he was a kid, I didn't want to be the one that said, well, this was his past
Right.
and
Okay.
stuff. I said, no, my focus was in the story, and people who talk about the Starved Rock murders but do not mention the rape robbery 8 months before that they're not telling you the story.
Right.
And they're keeping it from you intentionally.
Yes.
Because it proves Weir did it.
That's true.
Right. Now, what are your thoughts on Weir getting paroled when he was 80 years old?
After I interviewed Weir a couple times over in Stateville, that was many years ago, and stuff like that, I was really stunned the first time I left. I was shaking because he was so believable, and if you're sitting with a person who has been convicted of a homicide, it's like kind of keyed up anyhow. Your adrenaline's pumping.
Yeah.
And then he's saying, "Well, I didn't do it," and you want to give him the benefit of the doubt, right? He's sitting in front of you. How could this man sit in front of you, pick up a log and hammer 3 women to death?
Right. When you think about it, though, how a guy like that in prison has probably told that story 400 or 500 times at least. So he's gotten pretty good at telling the story. And I think a lot of those guys have a natural charisma and come off, like you're saying, as a very believable, very, heartfult type of guy. Him. Yeah. And I think that's very, very legit. I think that's that would be an interesting takeaway from that.
But I found him to be smarter than I expected. I'm not saying that he's a brilliant man. I'm not saying that, but he was smarter than I expected. And yes, I knew going to those interviews that he had answers for every question I could come up with. It was like 20, 30 years later.
Right.
What am I going to ask him? So the only thing I could ask him is the one really the most important question to me. And it deals with the situation now. I go, Chester. They say if you admit guilt now, the Prisoner Review Board looks at admission of guilt as a sign of rehabilitation, which means that if you admit guilt in this case, you are going to greatly increase your chances of parole. Right. Why won't you do that? You said once you admitted guilt to save your life, okay? The point of a gun, or they were beating you up. Well, point of a gun to me. Point of the gun, they said you felt like you were going to get shot, so you confessed. Now you regain your freedom,
but you won't confess.
And you won't confess to do that. You can get out of here. And he says, "Well, I'm not going to admit to something I didn't do and have this black cloud over my head the rest of my life." I go, that black cloud is over your head forever,
right.
Even if they find a movie of somebody else doing it, it's a gang.
Right.
And he said, no, he wasn't going to do it. So after 20 years later, the parole comes up, and there's a lot of doubt. Chester Weir had a back in the early 2000s. He had an attorney that tried to get DNA testing on some of the evidence and stuff, and that was denied. And I'll tell you why. But there was a lot of and my book was out, and that generated a lot of interest in the case. And it's always interesting to me because I really enjoyed people reading my book and said, "Well, Steve, I believe he didn't do it." And I said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I read your book and I believe he didn't do it." I go, "Well, which book did you read?"
Right.
But I said, "Okay, you just proved I wrote a fair book."
Right.
If you can read that book and think he didn't do it, but you have to ignore so many different things,
right,
to get to that level,
right.
So to me, about his parole. Of course, I was against his parole because I stand with the jury.
Right.
That's what I stand with. I stand with the jury that was appealed to the appellate court, and the case was upheld, and it was appealed to the Supreme Court, and the case was upheld. Yes, the appellate court and Supreme Court has made mistakes in the past, but that doesn't mean they made a mistake in this case.
Right.
They didn't. All it tells me that professional people examined this case after it was held in LaSalle County, and 2 different higher courts said Chester Weir got a fair trial and that he was guilty of this crime as he was convicted.
Right.
All I want the parole board to do was to honor the jury. They had a choice. Death in the electric chair or life in prison.
Right.
Okay? Here's my question, because I go back and forth on death penalty all the time. Could you sit in a trial, look at a young man who was 21 during the trial? He looked 19 years old. He looked like a punk. His wife and his two babies sat behind him most of the time during the trial. Could you sentence a man to death in front of his two kids?
Right.
Could you?
Be tough.
That's my question.
It'd be
Could
tough.
I couldn't. When you had another sentence, we could put him away for life. Okay, I won't kill your dad, but we'll put him in a box for life. And he was portrayed as an outdoorsman during the trial. So I imagine those 12 good citizens of LaSalle County thought, well, let's put the outdoors guy in a box
Right.
the rest of his life. There's the punishment for this guy. If Chester looked older, if Chester wasn't married, if Chester didn't have his kids sitting behind him, we probably wouldn't be talking about this case again today, because he would have probably been killed in the electric chair back in the early 60s.
Right.
That's what people forget. So what do I want when people ask me about parole and how I feel? I want what the jury decided. We put the jury in charge of the decision. It wasn't lawyers. It wasn't judges. It wasn't the court. It was a jury.
Right.
Put them in the box.
Right. Right.
I want the jury. So years later, the parole board, even though they heard testimony from crying sons and granddaughters of these victims, and they're both like 60, 70, they're old people too.
Right.
Now, they're kids and their grandkids crying to the prisoner review board. Don't let this man out of jail. He ruined our family. He wrecked our lives. Look what he did. And then they turn around. Oh, we feel compassion for you, but we're going to set this guy free because he's old and harmless.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's old and harmless, and I don't want Chester Weir cold, sick, wet, tired, anything. I just want what the jury wanted. Is that
Right.
wrong? I want what the jury wanted. It was their decision, and to overrule their decision, no matter how many years has passed, is entirely wrong. And I believe that some of those pro board people just didn't do what I done today. Talk about the facts in the case.
Right.
Right. Right.
Talk about things. Not to say one guy against 3 women. Boy, that could never happen. Let me go on to the next page. Let's read some other case.
Right.
That's what I think happened. They just didn't know the facts of the story.
True.
They didn't know the facts of the story. So now they're still trying to get another. Now he's on parole. We could talk about parole and COVID in a second, because that's interesting to me. Just think about it. He got out of jail. He got out of jail last February, a year ago, in year 2020. He got out of jail in the middle of February and stuff. His physical release from prison. He goes there. He goes to a halfway house in the Chicago area, and what? 2 weeks later, COVID hits strong. Everybody's quarantined. He goes from one prison to another.
What you were just saying, Chris,
one
right?
prison to
Yeah,
another.
Steve talking about the COVID thing with Uyghurs. So very, very interesting conversation with him. So that was cool, Joey, to
Yeah.
get to talk to him. And
Super
you bought
awesome.
his book back
Yeah.
when you were a young guy. And
20 years.
yeah,
27
it's just
years ago.
nuts. So that was really cool that we were able to pull that off. Steve's from Utica, which
Yeah.
is very close to us, but we did that through Messenger or through the phone. I can't recall. All right, so like I mentioned, in most murder cases, some don't believe the official story. There are some that claim that one of the husbands had paid somebody to kill him,
Right?
Joey, you mentioned the whole ties with the husbands with some nefarious type things that I was not aware of that. So that's what you were
Like
saying.
I said, I wish I would have saved that article because it was interesting
Yeah.
exactly what the husbands did.
Right.
For that time, it's like, holy shit, you could totally see,
Yeah.
especially out of Chicago.
Yeah, I would like to know that too. There was an interview with a woman who claims she's the sister of this guy named Smokey Rona. She claimed that on his deathbed, he told her that he was hired to kill the women. But as Steve Stout said, if somebody was hired to do it, you're thinking they're going to bring the weapon to kill him to the scene. They're not going to rely on a frozen tree limb that happened to be there.
Yeah, like, let me find something. No,
Yeah,
I mean,
a
there are
gun,
rocks
a
down
knife,
there.
a rope, something, But, again, we just don't know. Too much, I think, could have gone wrong if you're not going to bring something. If you're going to attack 3 women at the same
bringing
time,
something.
you're probably bringing a gun or at least a knife with you to get
Goddamn machete
down quickly, right? There's definitely a movement behind trying to, free Chester or free his name because he is out now. One woman on the documentary mentioned George Spiros, who was the son of the guy who ran the lodge. He was friends with Chester. Apparently, he was whisked away right after this happened and was gone for out of the country for years before he even came back. It was at the very tail end of the documentary. I would have liked to have known more about that,
Right.
Because I don't know much. I don't know if that was in the book or not, Joey.
No, I didn't
but
say anything.
very interesting.
Yeah.
But again, and I think if what Steve was saying is they're doing a new documentary about this, they've been up there shooting, but they weren't talking to him. So that leads me to think it's going to be the other way. Like, what else could have happened other than what everybody
I got
says.
something to add to that here in a minute, too.
Okay, that's cool. So anyway, that's what I have to say about it. What do you guys? Anything to add to this one?
Not me. What you got, Joe?
I got a couple things. So one thing I thought was interesting. So, like we said, Chester Wigger had 2 children. His daughter, who still lived in the area, the LaSalle area, she remained in phone contact with him through the whole thing, and she regularly put $100 a month on her dad's commissary.
No
Wow.
shit.
So
Oh, yeah.
he was fine, like in prison style,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
whole time he was in there. So his daughter definitely took care of him. So obviously, she probably believed that he didn't do it.
I'm sure.
I don't know. It's hard to tell.
But still, the fact that the whole time,
Yeah.
still.
So there's a Facebook page that I came across called Friends of Chester Wigger, and I had to look through it because I was just trying to see where this other, because there is kind of a whole controversy over if this dude's innocent or not. So I checked out a few things, but they were showing some pictures of investigators over in the crime scene or whatnot, but they were saying that a photographer from Streeter, which is a small town around here also,
Right.
named James Hunter Cox, is making the docuseries, and he's the one that bought the rights to Stout's book. So, so now he has to justify his investment is right or wrong. And they were saying that this other lady chimed in. She said that her mother was interviewed for a documentary that's supposed to be coming out, and they believe that it was about his innocence because her mother had been on Chester's side for over 20 years vocally.
Interesting.
So that does make sense with what you were saying.
Yeah.
That it was probably, for the innocence or whatnot.
Yeah.
So, okay, now this is the last thing that I saw, and I had not heard about this. I found this last minute, too, and I wish I could have looked a little more into it, but so the Starved Rock murders, they made international headlines, likely because the scene of the murder is State Park. Exactly what Steve was saying in his interview, exactly what we were talking about. So the entire Wenders family was shot to death in their home just east of Starved Rock one day after the women were discovered.
Wow.
A whole
the Wigger family? His family?
No. Wenders.
Oh, Winders. Okay.
But it was a family of 5 that was shot to death, and it happened right there.
Wow.
And so all these people are in LaSalle County, and especially for that time, murders were extremely rare and far between, of course. And multiple murders were unheard of. And having two happen in close proximity, only days apart, you gotta, these people.
That's odd.
Right. That's the thing that makes people question, how are these not related?
Right.
And they even said, like, the same deputy who was called to the scene, who was most likely Bill Dummett, who was the Starved Rock officer or deputy. And I mean, it's fucked up to it
is.
It's like,
wow, I didn't know
did they just
that.
not look more? And there's a lot of questions
and
behind
you don't
it.
hear about that one. I mean,
I never heard about
that's
that.
what I said. I mean, that's fucking brutal as shit too. But like they said, no one ever saw nothing about it because they were busy
with the old ladies in the canyon.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was pretty wild.
Because it was in a state park.
Yeah.
And they had money.
Yep. And like I said, if I had thought, man, I just found that. Otherwise, I would have looked up more on that homicide just to get a little more insight. Like, holy shit.
Right. Oh, yeah. And we'll have Steve on again. He's written the book, Starved Rock Murders, as we mentioned.
Yeah.
There's the documentary by the same name on YouTube I saw that Steve's on quite a bit. We appreciate him doing the interview with us. He's super cool. And we'll probably have him on again because he's got a lot of interesting stuff he's had to do working for the Times there in Ottawa. The Cherry mine disaster is an interesting story in Cherry, Illinois, with a mine that killed over 200 men and boys. Pretty brutal stuff. And his interviews with David Hendricks. The acquitted axe murderer, we don't know. People still debate that one around here. That was our very first episode, so we'll probably do a brutal rewind at some point and have Steve on to talk about Hendrix, so that'd be cool. All right. Well, next week, guys, we're doing another cult leader. This one suggested by Joey. Joey, we're doing a little Jeffrey Lundgren. Finally.
Yeah.
His followers, pretty crazy shit. Plenty of murder and mayhem. He killed a family of 5. Chris, 3 were fucking kids, man.
Yeah,
just horrible.
Well, I would assume they were kids, but I guess
they were.
Yeah.
A husband, a wife, and their 3 kids.
Yeah, I know, but that's like the worst shit ever, dude.
It is, man. It's horrible.
I tell my kids I want to kill them all the time. But they know I'm just kidding.
Of course. Now, oddly, and not by design, he's the 3rd cult leader we're going to be doing here in a few weeks, doing a little like we did back in the day, Chris, with the cannibals. Went on a little cannibal tear.
As I said, if we had did a cult one tonight, it would have been 4 straight and then 4 mother ones.
Yeah, that would have been an odd one to have that happen. So that's going to be next week. Another cult leader gone fucking nuts, and probably don't know much about old Jeffrey Lundgren, but you will. So, all right. Well, we've done our fair share of murdering tonight. I hear that music. CK ready to throw down some metal knowledge. So, Joey, what the fuck do we need to do?
Let's get our metal
All over as the master of metal, the crusher of posers, and Murder Metal Mayhem's knower of all things metal, hailing from Wildman Street in Danbury, Connecticut, standing at 6 feet of brutal, punishing madness, weighing in at 220 pounds of poser pulverization, the one, the only, toughest bastard on the planet, Chris C.K. Kovacs!
All right. Great metal motherfucker. 3-year anniversary show, CK. And you started your new chemo regimen today, so you're just brutal than anybody around here.
So, So I'm feeling okay, and like I said, I'm ready to kick some ass and take names, and
nice.
Let's do this, motherfucker.
Yeah, 3-year anniversary, but you're doing a...
Well, 3 years anniversary. Mine's minus 5 shows. So
that's true. That's true. Still close enough. Close enough. But CK, you're doing a band, a U.S. band this time. Who are you doing for this episode?
The band is called Enforced, not Enforcer, Enforced.
Yes, big difference.
Yes, one's a power metal band, and this is a crossover thrash band. Enforced have been around since 2016. They're out of Richmond, Virginia. Not too many bands bands in that genre come out of Richmond. Lamb of God, Municipal Waste. Yeah, I guess Gwar. Not one of my favorite bands, but hey, people dig them. That's cool.
Yeah.
Gwar's not my thing. But they're a crossover band who, like I said, out of Richmond, Virginia. Very, very much. They get a lot of influence from like the Cro-Mags, the New York, the New York hardcore scene. They get a lot of.
Yeah, I hear a little Propane in their sound too.
Madball and shit.
Yeah, they actually mentioned Madball in the interview. That they get a lot of influence from Madball, and they first put out an album. I think it was like 2017. They put out an album on War Records, and were quickly signed to Century Media a year or two back, and they put out the new album, which is God. Can't remember the name of the album.
Yeah, I can't either.
Oh. Shit. Chemo Brain, something grid.
Kill Grid.
Kill Grid. Yes, thank you. And the record's been getting really, really good reviews. And, they're an up-and-coming band, and to me, they're one of the new bands that I really dig. I know you dig them, Pete.
Oh, I love these guys, man.
We stumbled upon them by accident.
Yeah, I was listening to Angelus Apatrida, and I was listening to an album, and then it played, whatever song I thought I would like, and it played Curtain Fire from Enforced, and I was like, fuck yeah, what the hell is this, And then went and checked them out, was just totally floored, man. I really dig these guys. That Kill Grid album is ridiculously good, man.
Yeah, it's definitely, to me, I mean, the first album was awesome, but this is definitely a step up, step above the first album.
I
to
agree.
Me, and too bad they can't tour right now, and because I got a feeling they'd be a ripping live band to see live.
Oh yeah, I think so too. Too.
Not that I could go and see them, but I just imagine them playing live. How good they'd probably be.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
they do have some. They do have some upcoming dates in November.
That's cool.
In Albany, Philadelphia, and Brooklyn. So we'll see how that goes.
That's cool.
Hopefully, they could do a couple shows.
Yeah,
maybe
good.
Maybe do a live stream like a lot of bands have been doing. That'd also be cool.
Right. Well, we did that interview with Knox, the singer, and Will, the guitar player. That was cool.
They were really cool.
And I've got like a 2-3 minute clip of that I'm going to play here. So let's drop that in and let the listeners check it out.
I mean, I know, I know most of your revenue comes from touring and merchandise, and we on the show we try to push to make sure people are buying the physical CD or buying shirts of your band.
Right. I bought a shirt, CK. I bought a shirt. You bought the physical. You bought the physical.
That one.
Nice. Yeah, I was just like, man, I like CK said, we try to support the bands. I think me and CK have personally kept indie merch alive during the pandemic. So we buy a lot of stuff, and if I can't find it there, I go to the band and try to get it that way. So now, what are some bands that you guys dig that maybe our listeners might not know about? Because I'll tell you what, we have found so many killer bands from talking to bands about the others that they jam with, maybe in their area, have toured with, or whatever.
Yeah. Good question. I would say check out Destruct. 2 of our members are in that band, and
oh, cool.
If you're a fan of Discharge or any D-Beat, that's really good crusty punk.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, I would say Dead Heat. That's a band from LA. Definitely got kind of like a SoCal thrashy vibe, suicidal type almost.
Oh, cool.
And then Foreseen is one of my favorite kind of modern crossover bands. They're from Helsinki. And yeah, I would say check at least those 2 bands out. Check Destruct out.
And
Nice.
but I think
High Command. High Command's great. Yeah,
great band from Massachusetts.
Awesome.
Now, who would you say, or who would you guys say influenced you the most at the instrument you play in the band?
Who influences me the most in terms of what I do?
Yeah, like as a guitar player
exactly.
and Knox as a singer.
Yeah.
I would say like performing, definitely like, and my delivery, I would definitely say Max Cavalera. He's been like a huge inspiration to me since I was little.
He's an icon.
Yeah. He's the GOAT in my opinion. So I don't want to say I mock him, but I'm trying to emulate him as much as I can.
That's cool.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I love like Hanneman, obviously, is a huge influence.
Oh yeah.
And then like I love Glenn Tipton's playing. I think he's like probably one of my
He's
favorite.
tasty, man.
He's like amazing. Yeah. So like obviously we don't play stuff that's necessarily like that, but
Judas Priest,
right.
The way that
But no, I hear the Slayer when I hear you. You
Definitely.
saw my review I did. I hear Slayer, Morbid Angel, like that old school death metal harmony stuff. I dig it. Definitely. Max, though, that's cool that you said that, Knox. I was trying to think of who you sounded like, and it's good that I couldn't think of anybody. So I definitely think you have your own sound, and that's important, obviously.
I've heard a lot of really weird ones, like I was like
Celine Dion.
Yeah, well, I mean that would be
Air Supply.
Martin from Pestilence and Asphyx. That's the one that I always hear.
Hell yeah! So cool to talk to those guys from Enforced.
Definitely a cool bunch of guys. And
yeah, so check out the full interview that'll be out this Friday, the day after this one comes out. You'll be able to hear the whole Enforced interview. So,
yeah.
All right, well,
I was
CK.
here.
Well, yeah. What was your Lost Classic this week, bro?
Forbidden, a Mega Wave, came out in 2013 after they had 2 albums that were to me were disasters. Green and I think it was Distortion. This came out in 2013, so it was maybe like a good 15 years.
Yeah.
In between those albums, and this album just goes right back to
the old
Forbidden
shit.
Evil. You know,
Nice.
it just kicks ass.
Huh.
It's still available, so definitely check it out. Mega
I
Wave
will.
by Forbidden.
I will check that out.
And I believe it is available for streaming, so definitely check it out.
Okay.
It's a throwback to the first and second album.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm hearing some music coming across the pond. Even on our 3-year anniversary, we got to do some 6 fucking 6. So.
Fucking right.
Hell yeah. All right, 6 fucking 6 from our buddies in Onslaught. That means we're going to talk about what we've been listening to lately. I'm going to go the other way around the horn. I'm going to start with you, Joey. What have you been listening to lately?
Soylent Green.
Yeah, I saw you just picked up that CD.
Yeah, been jamming that a lot, the Some Out Secrets. Now, the other CD that I bought that's currently in my car that I've been listening to a fucking shitload is that Condition Critical Operational Hazard. And,
yeah, I heard of those guys. They kick ass.
Oh, man, so fucking good. Like, I've seen them live. They played Full Terror and shit, and they were really good seeing them live. But the fucking album, like, every now and then that happens, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, the album's better than their live performance was. At least that live performance for me. Not that it was bad, but yeah, the CD is so fucking good. And not something I've been listening to, but I did watch this movie, and I showed it to Chris and his brother Michael too, but it's classic because it's called "We Summon the Darkness."
Yeah, dude.
And it's like a take on the Satanic Panic of the 80s.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
But what's funny about it is one of the main dudes in it, his name is Kovacs.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, for real. His name's Kovacs for real.
Yeah, like
That's
spelled the
funny.
same and everything. So like,
Wow.
Stephanie was the first one to show it to me. I'm at her house and she was like, "Hey, listen!" And I heard, I was like, "Get the fuck out of here!"
that's
It's just
hilarious.
this metalhead kid in the 80s. You know?
Is that on?
It's on
Can you
Netflix.
stream that?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yep.
on Netflix.
That's funny.
And I mean, it's got some
It's a
throwbacks
decent-
to some cool metal shit too.
And it's
so.
a
What's it
decent
called
movie.
again?
We Summon the Darkness.
Oh, I gotta check that out.
Yeah, check that shit out. All right. Well, very good. Chris, what about you at the Shawback Nation? What you been jamming?
I don't know. Whatever gets played, man.
Whatever.
I haven't really been listening to anything in
Nothing in
particular.
particular.
Yeah, just whatever gets played when it gets played.
That's cool.
And I
CK,
had
what
to
about
fight
you,
with-
man?
I had to fight with my daughters over the music a little bit over the weekend.
Well,
so.
yeah, when you got the girls over, yeah. What about
So,
you, CK?
Still fiending over, Harlot and
In Malice's Wake. Nice.
And I got what was I listening to the other day? Shit. I was listening to some old Paul Di'Anno Maiden. And I threw on
cool.
some Paul Di'Anno Killers.
Nice.
His last band that he was in.
Okay.
You know what I fucking haven't listened to yet, but I really want to? That new Cannibal Corpse came out today. And I haven't got it yet, but man.
Did it come out today?
Yeah, I've seen all my friends fucking showing it off. They got it. I don't know if maybe it was a pre-order and everybody's getting it, but
I was going to say, I think it comes out Friday.
I've
Dude,
only heard a
yeah,
couple of
yeah.
the tracks, but
Danny-
fucking
Danny Dennis posted it. He got it on the vinyl.
the
with
vinyl. That's why I said probably they did a
pre-orders,
pre-order. Yeah.
yeah.
But man, I haven't heard. Obviously I haven't streamed the whole thing because I think it already is up for streaming. But I've heard the two songs, and it's just that's brutal with Eric Rutan on there. Like,
Oh,
sounds
yeah.
really good.
Oh, yeah. It's nasty. There's a
They always bring
playthrough.
it.
Yeah.
Eric Rutan does a playthrough on one of the songs.
Yeah. Oh, I
my
saw that. No,
God,
that was
it's
amazing.
fucking ridiculous. I have been jamming like crazy to Power Trip, the Nightmare Logic album, and Live in Seattle. Holy shit, man! Those guys, I've seen them twice. They opened for Creator up in Chicago, and then they opened for Exodus and Obituary up in Chicago. Me and my son Joey went, and man, they're really good live. And I've been just jamming the shit out of that lately.
Yeah,
so those guys
they're
are
a
killer.
really good band.
Now, I did see some shitty news, CK. I don't know if you caught this. Tom Hunting from Exodus.
Yeah, I think I posted that on the
Oh, okay. I didn't see your post of it. I saw it on Blabbermouth, but he's battling stomach cancer of some
Yeah.
sort. Seems like they may have gotten it quick, though, so hoping that Tom can beat it. Obviously, CK, you're dealing with cancer. I've dealt with cancer. It's a bitch. So fuck cancer.
It's a
for
motherfucker.
sure.
My
Yeah,
whole
it's just
life is
nasty.
a cancer.
So, now we've always talked about our 666 Club. It's kind of an exclusive for our Patreon supporters. Just $3 a month. I mean, that's all it is to help support the show. And for the $3 a month, Joey, they get some cool perks.
Yeah, you get to hear the episodes early. You get to hear the karaoke songs early.
Right.
You get the notes. You get a discount off merchandise.
Yep. Interviews when they're done,
Tons
you
of
get them right
interviews.
away.
The full thing.
Yeah, the whole interview. So it's $3 a month. Patreon.com/Murder Metal Mayhem, and we'll link to that in the episode description. All right, don't forget to order one of our new killer Jeff Gaither done shirts, man. They're really excellent. Little zombie scheme on the front with us crawling out of some graves.
They're sick as fuck.
Yeah, they're really awesome. And the back's got a nice blood splatter with Murder Metal Mayhem on it. So you got to get one of these. We're also selling our first generation shirts that just have me and Chris on the back. And once those are gone, that's it.
Yep.
So get your Murder Metal Mayhem merch. Spend that stimulus check. Taxes, whatever the fuck it is.
What are you all dicked up?
Apparently.
I'm the one who had chemo.
So go to the episode description and you can get one of these shirts we're talking about. So, all right, guys. Well, I think we've done plenty of metal tonight. So, CK, what the fuck do we need to do? Because it is going to be a barn burner tonight.
We got to definitely get our fucking Mayhem on. This is going to be fucking the shit.
Hey kids, when was the last time you had a nice, tall, ice-cold glass of Flavor Aid? Well, we're going through a bit of a rebranding here, and rather than run away from the horrible tragedy in Guyana in 1978, we're going to wave that banner high and proud.
That's right, Chad. Here in 2021, we're going to introduce some brand new flavors that are sure to be a hit at your summer parties. How about Guyana Gushing Grape or Choking Cherry, Suicide Sunny D, or our personal favorite, Why Mommy Watermelon?
That's right, bro. Try some Flavor Aid today and find out why it's okay to talk about mass suicide after 2020. As long as you're drinking a nice tall glass of Flavor Aid to make it taste good. Hell yeah.
Oh my God.
I kind of forgot about that.
What the fuck? Oh my God. That was so crazy. Before that, Enforced. Fucking brutal with the song Blood Ribbon. So nasty. Off the new album Kill Grid. Go check those guys out. Love them.
For sure.
And then, of course, followed up by the Flavor Aid commercial that we did.
Hey.
Pretty crazy. Me and Joey and Chris, all three got in on that.
Yep.
And that was fun. I love the thanks, Chad, or whatever he said. Like, where the fuck did he come up with Chad? You know, that was great. So we love doing those, as you could tell. So we've been getting a lot of comments lately from listeners that say they could tell that like we're legitimately having a good time doing this, and that's the truth. That's the truth. It is fucking stupid. Now, Joey, you were saying for Mayhem you wanted to talk about going to the mean streets of Findlay.
Yeah, I was just gonna.
I mean, it's not like Wild Man Street, but I mean,
No, it's not. It's not Wild Man by any means. But no, it was just interesting, especially since
Pussyville, USA.
yeah.
oh,
Hell no. But since the Sugar Babe thing was something that was suggested by Stephanie from
right.
Toledo.
We did the episode
did
on
it.
Vera Joe Regal.
And then it became like a big episode.
Oh yeah,
for
it's
us.
like our fourth most listened to episode.
So it turned out to be a really good suggestion. It was a really good topic. And then out of that, we, with doing the commercials, we've created the Punky Brooks character too, which
Right.
of course I do that. And it was just funny. So now, I have ties over in that area. So I got to go this last week and actually went to Findlay, Ohio.
Right.
The stomping ground of the Findlay Crips. And it was some weird shit. Like we went over there and it was just we went to where the Sugar Babe house was.
Right.
And we got a quick picture, but like,
did anybody tell you like what or ask you what the fuck are you doing?
no, but it was a really sketchy situation, and the only thing we saw, because the house was being like renovated, but it's really fucking kind of tore down a bit, but it's in a bad part of town, of course, and so like we're looking over there and we get a picture, but we're on the other side of the street, on the other sidewalk,
Right.
which is better because you can see more of the house, but still, like I didn't want to get that close, and then like the only thing that we saw out of that house was like there was like a screen door and behind it was this Doberman staring at us, and I was like, okay.
wow.
So we got the hell out of there.
Well, I think Sugar Babe moved to Danbury. Isn't she over there? CK's been doing her feet. He's been doing her feet. Isn't
Oh
that what
God, that's so gross. No. But don't be talking about my moms. Anyway, so we went and saw that. We kind of tracked her steps, because if you remember from the documentary and all that, they talked about how she had gone from the home to the Salvation Army,
back home,
and then to the tracks when they brought her out there. So we saw the Salvation Army, which is right by the home, and then we saw the tracks. And I mean, I don't know exactly which part of the tracks they found her on or anything like that, but through a process of deduction and the closest to the house, like, we kind of figured that we were right there. So that was pretty crazy.
Then you went to the grave too,
and then,
right?
Yeah, and so then the last thing we did is I wanted to go see Vera Jo's grave, which the way I went about that is I went to Find a Grave, which is actually, a very useful tool.
It is.
So I went to there, and so I could find out which cemetery it was in.
Right.
So I was like, man, how am I going to figure out, which one is it? Because I ain't got all day to be wandering around out here.
Right.
And then I found a YouTube video from like whoever it was that donated the headstone or whatnot, and they showed them installing it. So I was taking like screenshots of them. Yeah, so I was like, okay, there's a field there, there's this, and I found like
you did like investigative
and I found like a granite cross that was on one of them.
Scene,
and I told Stephanie, I was like, okay, I'm looking for this granite cross. She's like, is that it? And I was like, this is exactly it. So anyway,
this is Shuey Cashman. I am here.
Yeah, but going to her grave, I mean, the whole thing was like kind of funny. We went on the Blanchard River, and I did the CK video or the WVK Punky video.
Right,
like it was really funny. But then like going to the grave,
sad story. Though,
it was
man.
super sad. Yeah, and it had the picture of her, and it had like you could see like stuff that people had left. Just very personal stuff.
Right,
and yeah, it was very sobering at that time. So I was very glad that I got to go do that. And so with the whole Punky thing, I mean, it's funny and we joke about it.
Yeah, but
it does come off of a tragic case.
It does.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So anyway, so I did get to go see that. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And it just makes all this a little more personal. I guess.
And if you want to go check it out, The Murder of Vera Jo Regal, it's the Sugar Babe episode. It's like our number 4th most listened to. It was done Mother's Day a year or two ago.
Year.
Yeah, so. All right, I just wanted to mention that the writing is 100% complete for Creation of Chaos 3. Finally, just started doing the audiobook recording yesterday. That should take a little over a week. Doing a story a day until I get it done. Brian Usual did the cover, did an amazing job. I shared that one on Facebook. A lot of people liking that.
The fucking hands clawing out of the eye.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. And speaking of Brian, he had a bad fall from a ladder over the weekend and literally snapped his ankle. He had emergency surgery. He will be okay, but he can't put any pressure on it for 8 weeks. And so he's got plenty of art to do between the wrap-up of Creation of Chaos 3 and starting our next project right after it, which is Deeper Than Dead. So, Brian, hope you get feeling better. And
definitely.
It sucks, man.
Yes.
Not good.
I fell off a ladder, but I never broke nothing.
Yeah, and Brian's a really tall guy, so God, I don't know where the fuck he was that he needed to even need the fucking ladder. So PeteAltieri.com if you're interested in the writing stuff. That goes to my Facebook page, and you can follow what I'm doing. Speaking of writing, I also released the new Voice of Dread podcast yesterday. This is one of me reading my story, The Last Supper, with a little additional commentary on why I wrote it.
Sound effects.
Yeah, some of the behind the scenes stuff. And so you can check that out. Why I wrote it, and voiceofdread.com if you want to check that out.
Came out really good. I could attest to that.
Thanks, dude. Thank you.
No problem. I'm not kissing your ass. If
well,
it sucked,
that's good. That's good.
If it sucked.
Yeah, you just can't fucking write, man.
That shit is whack, and I'm not feeling it.
All right. Well, I'm gonna say we got something pretty special to get to here tonight, guys. We've got one hell of a killer cage match. All All right, Chris, we have got a fucking crowd here tonight, fired up.
Damn, dude, it sounds raging in this bitch.
Yeah, I mean, they are fired up for this killer cage match tonight. We've got one hell of a matchup. Who do we got fighting here tonight?
We got WVK, man. Weepy Boys Killer coming
He
out.
looks all jacked up,
Yeah,
man.
he's jacked up. But we got that Crip motherfucker coming out with his boys from Finley. We got Punky Brooks.
Oh.
What up? Gang, G.
Punky's been antagonizing with these videos and shit. He's been releasing videos and antagonizing WVK.
Oh, yeah, the crowd is cool.
So this is going to be fucking crazy now. If you remember right, Chris, last week, Punky released a video or a song clip to get people fired up.
Come on, that's diss track.
Let's
I'll
let
be
our
making hits in the studio, dog.
Let's let our listeners check this out. Let's check this out.
Oh shit, up in the studio one time. Punky Brooks in this motherfucker 419 ho. Y'all be talking shit, but you don't want none of this shit right here, man. We getting fucking crazy. WVK, get the fuck out of here. When Murder Metal Mayhem Killer Cage Match comes up, I'll be fucking representing. But first, I got something to say, homie. WVK, you's a bitch ass lame. 419 ho, where we rep that gang. Cry all you want, but I ain't gon' change. Cause in the killer cage match, I'll be eating your brains. You'll be weeping for days, crying more than the rain. Finley Crips, ho, yeah, rep that gang. You ain't got shit else to say while I'm hitting my J. Your skin's paper thin, I guess we'll call you CCK. Represent, motherfucker, we coming at you. 419 ho, watch out.
So, Chris, this is getting crazy. I mean, we got Punky making a song, getting WVK all fired up. So check this out.
That's the realest.
I'm sitting here today.
That's the realest, dog.
I'm sitting here today. I get an email from WVK.
Oh, shit.
And he's got something to say.
WVK be emailing like a nerd.
No, WVK's got something to
This
say.
one's dedicated to Punky Brooks and all the biatches at 419. This one's for you. Give it a listen, because I'm coming for you, Punky Brooks, you little fucker. Oh, yeah. Hit it, boys. Hear my weepy voice in the distance. Oh, make fun of me if you want. Oh, I'm coming to kick Punky sissy ass. Oh, if you know what I mean, yeah. Broken teeth to the left of me. Oh, his little nuts to my right. Ain't got no gun, no. Ain't got no knife, no. I'm still winning this fight. You know why? Because I'm WVK. I'm dynamite. I'm WVK. I'll win this fight. WVK. I'll throw you in the ditch. Oh, WVK. I'm making Punky my bitch. That's right, Punky. You're going down. You and your inbreds are all going 6 feet under. I don't mean the band, bitch. I mean you and the others. Oh, fuck you for one.
Oh, God. So, this thing is getting just absolutely insane.
Oh, the ditch is ready.
Wow.
Okay, Boomer. Okay, Boomer.
Oh, my God. So, Chris, the stage is set. I think we're ready for this thing to get started.
Ass.
Holy shit, dude.
So,
fucking
I'm ready to put
dying.
his 419 ass away.
Fucking dying.
oh, my God. So, we got Weepy Voice and Punky here ready to go at it, Chris. They got a couple of objects they're going to fight with.
Just ring the bell, homie.
Just ring the, hey, one of them's a cowbell, G. Just wait.
Oh,
One's
shit.
a cowbell, G. We got a cowbell. We got a chainsaw for you motherfuckers to get in the ring.
man.
We'll start with C's. Crip, what up?
Crip, what up?
And we've got an interesting variable in this one.
Intense, dude. Yeah.
Fucking junkyard dog, all fucking mad and
Oh, I
hungry.
forgot to tell you.
Eat balls, Chopper.
So we've got Punky Brooks We got Weepy Voice Killer ready to go at it here. They got a chainsaw and a cowbell and a mangy junkyard dog who hasn't eaten for a week.
Man, it's like a dog in my house, dog. That's with a pet pig, homie.
All right, well, here we go.
You're talking mad shit, dude.
Well, here we go. Let's ring the bell and let's get this fight started here.
Right, boys.
All right. Holy shit, man. Punky looks like he's coming at CK or WVK pretty strong here.
WVK, man. He's a
WVK
bitch, homie.
coming out, dude, like a fucking champion, but I don't know. Every time he hears somebody,
He's
he
trying
seems
to get
whine
that-
about it.
he's
So I don't know, man.
I see a chainsaw over there, though, homie.
Oh,
I
shit.
think I'm going to get that.
Whoever gets that chainsaw first,
I
man, it's
don't
going to be a fucking
Get the
bad
chainsaws, I'm
situation.
still gonna
I
kick
don't
your
know.
ass.
Well,
Man, tie your motherfucking shoelaces together, bitch.
Weepy
Let's
Voice
put your
goes
pants
for
on.
the cowbell. I don't know what
Why you
Weepy
getting a
Voice is doing
cowbell
for the
for?
cowbell.
Maybe he's gonna smack it against his head like Will Ferrell and fucking Saturday Night Live.
Right?
More cowbell. That's what we need, dude.
Christopher Walken, you better get your walking crying ass up out this ring, ho. Fuck
I
crazy.
think we got a problem here,
419.
Chris. Or us. Punky got the fucking chainsaw.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
man. Oh, shit. Weepy Voice is running around.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, that fucking dog is nipping.
Get over here, WVK. Let me get that
WVK
leg.
swinging that fucking cowbell, just
trying
hitting
to get
him,
it.
pummeling.
More
Punky.
cowbell, homie. More
Punky's trying to get the
cowbell.
dog off his ass with the chainsaw. He ain't even worried about the cowbell.
Cowbell's
Shit, man.
gonna
Have you noticed, though, that Punky's pants keep falling down? He keeps
motherfucker.
trying to grab
That's why
his
you gotta don't sag, dude. Don't
Man,
sag.
my motherfucking belt, homie. My Gucci belt, homie.
Man, WVK is pummeling with the cowbell.
God damn, I dropped the chainsaw, homie.
Oh shit, the chainsaw's on the floor. CK,
419.
Oh man, he's cutting Punky up with the chainsaw.
Chris, how you gonna let this happen? How you gonna let this happen, homie?
Oh, the dog's going fucking crazy.
He gonna cut my dick off. How y'all gonna let this happen,
Crowd is
homie?
going nuts, Chris. They love seeing the
Look at
blood.
it. That's spraying everywhere. The crowd in the front. It's like
Oh,
a
my
Gallagher
God.
show, dude.
Y'all some hoes. Y'all some bitches.
Wow.
Take
Well,
this one away. I'm
God
done
damn.
with him.
Y'all just cheated the fuck out of
they
Punky
just
Brooks.
raised up WVK's hand. He has won the
He has
match.
won
That's
the
some
talk
hoe
to
ass
him.
shit.
Chris, let's talk to WVK here
How
for
do
a
you-
second.
How do you feel about this win,
Oh,
WVK?
I feel fucking awesome. I just found out today. I did some calls. Punky's not a member. He's not a member of the Crips. They don't know who the fuck he is. He's not in their directory.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
Damn, Punky's looking rough though. They're putting him on a stretcher.
Dude, fucking
Looks
hell.
like he almost cut his fucking arm off over there with that
I'm not done with
chainsaw.
that motherfucker yet. We're gonna have it again
You're
because
gonna
I'm
do
not done
it.
yet.
Oh shit, dude.
Oh
I
wow.
didn't finish the job. I didn't
Oh
finish the
wow.
job.
All right, well, good job, WVK. You are the winner here tonight. So
God
fuck
damn.
yeah, man. That was a hell of a match.
I gotta get a Gatorade. I'm fucking tired. bitch.
All right. Fuck yeah.
God damn, that was fun.
All right. So killer cage
God
match.
damn, dude.
That was a lot of fun.
That was fun.
That was definitely fun. I don't think I could do that every week. I really
Oh,
don't.
hell
That was
no.
pretty crazy. That was an engineering feat to pull that off, but like 17 things going on at one time. But it turned out fun,
Dude,
and
yeah, that was funny
good.
as shit.
That
Like
was
listening
good.
back
You
to
guys
it
listen to
after
the shit. You gotta let us know what you thought of that because
Yeah.
you
that
gotta
was
let us
like
know.
pretty experimental, but
Yeah,
it
and when you
came out,
did the
I think-
Punky song, and then CK got
Oh
to
man,
hear.
the fucking rebuttal. I wasn't
Yeah,
expecting
and I was
that,
like, dude, we got to come back with something. So the first thought was we'll do another rap song.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, no, WVK is going to do a metal song
yeah.
or a rock song.
Yeah.
So then I thought the TNT thing came to me with the WVK.
Yeah.
And
No,
Right.
it's
I,
all-
I,
that
I,
worked
I
out.
worked hard on that fucking thing.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was
yeah.
funny. Yeah, then he sent it to me, and I lined it up with the music.
Hell yeah.
I was dying though. I wanted you guys to hear it, but I'm like, no, I want to surprise them. So
That was fucking good.
that was funny. That was funny.
Hope
So,
you all out there enjoy that shit, because goddamn it.
Yeah.
We sure the hell did.
It was. So all right. So WVK is the winner. We'll see. We maybe
Oh, thank
have
you.
not heard the last from Punky Brooks. I can
Oh, I
guarantee
can
that.
guarantee that.
you know
So-
that's right.
So all right. Well, we've done plenty of mayhem tonight, guys. So time to hit the outro. Hell yeah.
Fetus, dude. I love that.
Well, I knew they were one of your favorites, Chris, so I thought, hell, it's our 3-year. And play a little Dying Fetus, Homicidal Retribution.
Hell yeah.
Pretty nasty shit for sure.
I'll have a single shot of whiskey, a double shot of whiskey. She'll have a water. Oh, fuck it. It's our anniversary. Get her a
Pepsi.
If you like that special Killer Cage match, make sure you comment on the episode, and we might do more of those. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah,
And we literally just did that on the fly right now.
Yeah, like old-time radio kind of style.
That was not scripted at all. It was just,
Oh,
we
you
were
said
just giving a couple cues.
The whole shit just came about basically just fucking created
just
itself
having
over
some fun.
time.
Yeah, it really is funny the way it just evolved to that. All right, bumper music tonight, Enforced, Dying Fetus, and Power Trip. Big thanks to our friend Steve Stout for doing that interview with us on Starved Rock Murders. Yeah, that was awesome.
After you hear this, Steve, you'll know that saying shit wasn't a bad deal at all.
That's right. Well, we told him it was okay.
He was like, oh, can I say, oh, don't worry about it.
Yeah, right.
We do a lot more than shit.
Hopefully he's made it this far
Yeah.
listening to this. The whole 60-something minute interview, I think it's 62 or 63 minutes long, is going to go live a week after this. So the end of April here, you'll be able to hear that. I would definitely suggest it if you like the topic. It was really interesting talking to him.
He gives a lot more information than we did just in the interview.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Also, thanks to Will and Knox from the band Enforced for doing the interview with us. And you'll be able to hear that whole thing the day after this comes out as an own bonus episode, about 18 minutes of that. And that was good. And, of course, CK, who does your intro music?
Chris.
Fucking A. And Murder Metal Mayhem intro music is by who, Chris?
Wow, it's fucking 12 feet under.
12 feet under.
I'm a low fucking 12, man.
I don't mean the belt. I don't mean the band.
Yeah, I don't mean
Joey, who provides us our 6 fucking 6 music?
Onslaught from over the pond.
That's right. Go to rottencotton.com for checking out their shirts and their buttons and stickers. They got some great stuff. rottencotton.com, and we appreciate them sponsoring the show. And they've got some sick stuff, so go check it out. Their graphic novels and comics are very impressive.
They have a great website.
They really do. And you get 15% off, Joey, just for entering what coupon
Mayhem.
code? Mayhem. Nice and easy.
Put that in there, 15% off.
15% off.
More. Hell yeah, get it.
So go check out Rotten Cotton.
Go support.
And also, our friends at spellboundeffectsandart.com, Tony Campagna's a friggin' beast, creating human fucking skin-looking stuff, lampshades and all sorts of forearms.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, vaginas. I mean, he does it all, man.
If you've ever had fucking horror porn fetish, he could probably...
he could provide it, yeah. So go check out Tony at spellboundeffectsandart.com. Link to all this stuff in the episode description. Thanks to everybody out there listening. I mean, 3 years is an amazing milestone.
Appreciate
Congratulations to all of us for doing it. It's tough to keep up this kind of pace every week.
Keep up the good work,
and
boys.
we fucking deliver the goods. We don't take too many weeks off, and when we do,
not really.
They're bonus episodes.
Yeah, there's still something out, even if we do take the week off. We record some. 3 in a week last.
Right. My wife Laura was like, "It's been 3 years ago." Yeah, it's been 3 years.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. The time
doesn't
does
seem
fly.
like it.
No, it's because we're having a good time, and that's for sure. But thank you, everybody, for listening. We had some really good comments. I put a few extras in here. So, Chris, why don't you do that first one?
What's up, Sam? Samantha Cram says, "Fucking, I love you guys, and I love how fucking funny you all are. And I can tell each one of you is love what you love." Yeah, I can't read right now. And I can tell each of you love doing what you do. Keep it up. Can't wait for more and more. Thanks, Sam.
That's awesome. Joey, what about number 2?
Rebecca Boomstock commented, "All I can say is that if you are new to the podcast, don't do a podcast today to catch up like I did. Your mind will be mush, horns high."
Yeah, awesome. Rebecca's a huge fan of the show, and she's supportive like crazy, so that's awesome.
Your brain will be mush.
CK, what about that next one?
Elizabeth Washington commented, seriously, all three things in one brutal podcast is amazing. I've learned so much. Hey, we try. We do our best.
That's awesome. Yeah. Elizabeth, another big supporter of the show, a 666 Club member.
Fucking right.
All right. Riley Allen commented, I just started literally 2 weeks ago, but I've blown through a quarter of your catalog. Y'all are one of my favorite podcasts as a whole. So thanks, Riley. That's a good comment.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is really cool. Chris, we got another one here. We got a couple more.
Yeah, we got Justin Morris. Says,
hell yeah.
Fucking yeah. What's up, Justin? Says
another loyal listener.
Yes, sir. He says, wow, geez, 3 years, that's crazy. I spent a lot of damn time with you guys. And hell, I'm ready for 3 more. Keep up the good work. Fucking A, fucking thanks,
awesome.
Justin. You're the homie.
Justin will be here pretty soon doing an episode with us.
We got him coming in, and we got both our winners
contest winners.
Yeah,
it's going to be good. We got some good guests coming in.
Beatings.
Yeah, and Tech's here in 2 weeks. So, it's going to be awesome.
It's a fucking party up in here.
That's right. All right, and then Joey, what about that last one?
Roger Smith commented, even though you don't know it, you guys have been on a long journey with me. You guys have been killing it for 3 years straight, and I'm here to tell you it's only gotten better. Keep up the amazing work, and keep those horns high.
Yeah, Roger, you too, homie.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
And, you know, Tex wanted to weigh in. He wanted to wish us a happy 3 years, so I'm going to play that one here for everybody to check out.
Yeah.
Pete, Chris, CK, and Joey, this is Tex dropping in to congratulate y'all on 3 years. Horns high, baby.
Hell yeah, that was cool. Good Tex calling in to tell us congrats, so that's fucking cool. Thanks again for all the great comments. We wish we could have read them all. You guys are absolutely the shit, and we do genuinely love doing this.
Fucking right, we do.
And as long as you guys want to hear it, we're going to drag our asses out to the studio every Tuesday and hammering out episode
me and Cash, we drove out here in some fucking shit-ass weather.
You have.
Shit, man.
You have. You have. So,
I mean,
all
you
the
created
years
this room because of the podcast.
Right.
The room we're sitting in, it would just be part of a garage if it weren't for
That's true. And, you know, the thing is all the years I played in bands, I mean, just 18 in Low 12 alone, I always wished I could have practiced where I lived so I didn't have to deal with getting to practice.
Right.
And now I kind of have that. So that's kind of cool. I could just walk out here in my slippers if I wanted to.
Everything, all your recording shit's right here to do anything
right
you're
here.
doing right now.
So it's pretty cool. All right, well, don't forget to check us out, murdermetalmayhem.com. Listen to all these crazy podcasts. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And you could check us out all kinds of ways. Some of those, Amazon Music, Spotify, Stitcher, CastBox, iTunes, and more. And please leave us comments, rate the show. It helps, so we appreciate it. And Chris, we're always talking about the 666 Club.
Always talking about it. Get you some merch on discount. Get your fucking
show early.
Get all the content, exclusive content. The Don,
right.
The fucking
Ramirez,
the
Capone,
Ramirez and the Capone
$3 a month.
Capone,
It's nothing. So go to the episode description, click away, and be a 666 Club member. You can also go to PeteAltieri.com if you want to pick up one of my books.
Check out Pete's art. It's art, yes. Writing, but it's still art. Fuck.
Yeah, and you can check out thevoiceofdread.com if you want to check out the other podcast I do about horror.
Hell yeah.
Horror-type novels.
It's awesome. I listen to every single one.
Well, the next one I'm doing is with Sean Ferrugia of In Malice's Wake. We're going to do the Necronomicon, so that's going to be cool.
Hell yeah, that's
we're going to talk about the whole origin of it with Lovecraft and how people have used it in other movies and stuff.
That's fucking sweet.
So that'll be cool. So we can't let him go, though, without hearing another karaoke song I had to destroy, so crank it the fuck up. And until next time, keep one foot in the gutter.
Keep your fists in the air, drug free.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, yeah.
I hopped off the plane at LAX with a dream in my cardigan. Welcome to the land of fame excess. Am I gonna fit in? Tripped into cab, here I am for the first time. Look to my right and I see the Hayward sign. This is all so crazy. Everybody seems so famous. My tummy's turning and I'm feeling kinda homesick. Too much pressure and I'm nervous. And when the taxi man turned on the radio, a Creator song was on. A Creator song was on. A Creator song was on. So I put my hands up to play my song. The butterflies fly away. I'm nodding my head like yeah. Moving my hips like yeah. Got my hands up to play my song. They know I'm gonna be okay. Yeah. It's a party in the USA. Yeah. It's a party in the USA. Into the club in my taxi cab. Everybody's looking at me now. Like, who's that dude that's rocking kicks? He's gotta be from out of town. So hard with my boys not around me. It's definitely not a horn-time party. Cause all I see are fucking posers. I guess I never got the memo. My tummy's turning and I'm feeling kinda homesick. Too much pressure and I'm nervous. And when the DJ dropped my favorite tune and a harlot song was on. A harlot song was on. A harlot song was on. So I put my hands up to play my song. The butterflies fly away. I'm nodding my head like yeah. Moving my hips like yeah. Got my hands up, playing my song. You know they're gonna be okay. Yeah. It's a party in the USA. Yeah. It's a party in the USA. Feel like hopping on a flight. Back to my hometown tonight. Something stops me every time. Every fucking time. The DJ plays my song and I feel alright. Yeah. So I put my hands up to play my song. Butterflies fly away. I'm nodding my head like yeah. Moving my hips like yeah. My hands up to play my song. And now I'm gonna be okay. Yeah. It's a party in the USA. Yeah, it's a party in the USA. So I put my hands up, playing my song. Butterflies fly away. Nodding my head like yeah. Moving my hips like yeah. Got my hands up to play my song. And I'm gonna be okay. Yeah, it's a party in the USA. Yeah, it's a party in the USA. Fuck yeah, 3 years. Murder Metal Mayhem.
Mother, man.